So that's about where that's at.
That's what I say too. That's my line.
Yeah.
We got the same line, brother. Um, you guys cool if we get rocking and rolling? Like on this week, I want to show you guys that like everything we did last week with a hand raiser is basically like paint by number for putting it into a Loom video. Is it cool? I'm asking for the green light. Can we go ahead and get rocking and rolling? Who do we got with us today,
I'm in.
guys? Kevin's here. Ali's here. Um, so just a little recap. By the way, on part 3, there's some stuff that just to give you guys a heads up, there's some stuff that can go wrong, like more than anything, like troubleshooting this process is one of the places where you can lose people is in the chat conversations in between they raise their hand and you send them a video. There's also, I kind of teased this in the beginning, but you can actually pre-sell the video, meaning you've got people to buy into the basic idea even before they've seen the video. That's kind of like inception level. And I'll give you guys the shortcut to that is it's comparing the old plan versus the new plan, meaning how they plan to get results now versus what you plan to do differently. So the old, how I pre-sold this workshop, even before you guys saw the Loom video or the supporting materials for it, is by contrasting how much sending a gazillion outreach messages and getting book calls and hearing no a lot sucks versus raise a hand, send a video, get I'm-ins. And so there's a way for you guys to pre-sell your stuff. We'll talk about that more next week, which is simply comparing old plan versus new plan and contrasting and highlighting the differences of that. And also troubleshooting a little bit when it's not working. I saw a few, you guys put some hand raisers out and I thought that was badass. But sometimes when you put them out, you get crickets. And I wanted to show you guys the most important single thing of that to tweak. So we'll cover that next week. But before we do you guys remember the 4 big questions from sales calls that folks be asking? Do you remember what they are?
How much does it cost?
How much is it?
How soon can you deliver this for me?
Yeah, I'll say more than anything, it's like, what can you actually deliver for me? What I call what results can I, it's not really a conscious question. They don't consciously say what results can I expect, but usually the first 45 minutes of a sales call is them trying to figure out like, what can we actually do?
And then wasn't there also case study, or does that go to what results can I expect?
I consider all that part of the same kind of basic, like usually it takes a lot of time on a sales call, but that's basically, after like, what can you do basically?
Okay.
And then one of these 4 are 2 sites here. These are the 2 I start with, Reddit and Quora. And then I'm going to show you how to do this in Amazon and Facebook groups in a second. It's all the same basic thing.
Somebody's listening to me and fast forward and cheating from last week. I sound awesome at double speed. I don't know. Any of you guys listen to Audible books on double speed? I do now. So I'm like used to hearing everything in double speed.
1.5. 1.5.
Yeah, some authors are double speed is too fast. You're right, but like between 1.5 and 2 to 2x is the sweet spot.
Is timeline one of the questions or no?
Well, timeline I grouped together all in like what can I expect? Because like what can I expect and how long it's going to take? That's all kind of like tied in together. But if you show somebody a result, that's nice and all. Like if I show you like, hey, we're selling stuff with Loom videos, that's cool, but don't you usually want to know if it'll work in your personal situation?
Yeah. Will it work for me?
Will it work for me?
Yeah.
And then the one we mentioned is
I feel like that's a question that they don't ask, but it's probably subconsciously on their mind at all times. Do they actually ask, will it work for me? Or is it more what results can I expect?
Both of those are kind of like subconscious. Like, so I don't know if you guys ever did sales calls like I did, but it's usually like they're anywhere from like 45 minutes to 90 minutes. You spend about 5-10 minutes building rapport. You spend about I don't know, like anywhere from 15 minutes to like 45 minutes trying to figure out their pain and what they're trying to do. And then you contrast that with what life could be like after they solve that thing. and then you present your thing to them, and then they ask you details about it, and then they either say yes or no, and if they say no, you have this objection handling. Well, Mr. Prospect, let me tell you the reasons why. I mean, that's a typical sales call. I'm sure you guys might have like slightly different formats, but in the first 45 minutes, like all you guys are trying to do is figure out like what can you actually do together, the heaven and the hell. And then they want to specifically know, okay, that's interesting, but will that work in my situation? The other one that everybody forgets is they want to know, how does it work? Right? Like if I say, hey, David, I got $100,000 check with your name on it. I had a really cool idea for you for how we can get 100 grand. Like, obviously he wants the 100,000, right? I would hope so. But in order for him to actually like convert that to action, there has to be a believable plan attached to it. And by the way, out of curiosity, if you guys get objections in this process, where do you think you're most likely to get the objections?
How much is it?
It seems like that because usually, I shouldn't say, because this is kind of twofold. You're right. Most of the objections come up about price, but the place they actually happen is earlier in the sequence.
I think it's probably on the will it work for me, like trying to get justification that it'll work for them.
That's a good guess, but typically not in my experience. The biggest objections you're usually going to get are about what I call the plan. So let's look. And the reason is usually they'll say, I tried something similar and it didn't work for me. So for example, you sell SEO and you show up to a prospect and you say, my plan is I'm going to get you to #1 in the Google. What do you think happens if he's just hired 3 vendors before you, 3 SEO providers over the last 5 years, and none of them have gotten him ranked? So the biggest objections you guys are typically going to get are about your plan. And the reason I tell you this is because if you can get people to buy into your plan, you can get them to buy into whatever you're selling. So as far as the paint by numbers, I've got this set up for you guys in a template, and as well, I'm going to put all this stuff in the members area, but we're going to basically build these babies in reverse. Meaning we're going to start by answering the question, how much is it? Then we're going to figure out how it works. Then we're going to explain who it's for. And then we're going to showcase a result. And then when we present these, we're going to do it obviously in logical, normal format. But I find the easiest way to build these is in reverse. So this is why I said it's really paint by numbers. And I've got these set up for you guys. So it's already set up here for you guys in slides inside of a, like, I don't know, copy and paste format, if you will. But the first thing is you want to know what you want them to do after they watch the video. It sounds small, but you'd be amazed at how many times people have unclear call to actions, and unclear call to actions get unclear results. And you want to lean towards like really hand-holding people for what's next. So I don't know what it is for you guys, but I'm going to say, like, for us, it's usually like, and you guys are welcome to steal this exact format if you want, if it works for you. But it's like, hey, if you want to get started, here's what you need to do next. Send me a message and say, I'm in, and I'll send you the details of what you need to do next. If it's not a fit for you, you can go ahead and you can just tell me no. You won't hurt my feelings. And if you have any questions left, go ahead and feel free to send me a message, and I'll let you know whether or not it's something we can do. But I usually handle those 3 possibilities. What to do if they're yes, what to do if they're no, what to do if they still have questions. By the way, why do you think we would want them to tell us no?
You want to disqualify them because they're a crap customer.
That's right. They don't buy from us. They're shitty people. At least they don't buy from you. But usually it's like, I don't want to have to waste time following up with you. and seeing whether or not you even watched my video. If you're a no, like, it's okay to just tell me no. By the way, this process, because you're letting them watch it on their own terms and videos, people are usually way more honest with you about where they're really at, whether yes, I want this, no, I don't have the money, whatever. There's less, like, I don't know about you guys, but when I first did SEO, I would have to like send people proposals and chase them and chase them and chase them. And I can't tell you the number of times I sent the email of like, dear sir, did you watch my proposal yet? Did you read it? No, I did not. I'll get to it next week. And you don't really care if they read your proposal. You just really want to know, are you in or are you out? Right? Like, give
See,
me-
what I do when I send proposals, I don't know if it's what you do, but I still send my proposal, but I also send a link to like a 2 to 3 minute Loom video where I actually go through it real quick and say, this is where you're at, this is what we want to do, this is what it costs. And if you like it, click the approve at the bottom or send me questions, you know, like
that to me is a smart use of a proposal, because that's like closer to a deal summary than it is like a here's what I would hope you agree to kind of thing. And you know, like
yeah, I don't want them to read it because it's too long, because the the terms and conditions for my my insurance is crazy, you know.
yeah, I'm with you, dude. I used to send like 45-page custom proposals, but no,
That's like 4 pages of my proposal in my Loom video. I go through it. I said, okay, this more or less says we're gonna do what we said we're gonna do, and when we do, you're gonna pay for it. And I just go to the next section.
yeah, that to me is like a deal / offery summary called a proposal.
Yep.
And there's certainly a benefit to that, especially if it's kind of doubling down to like, that leads into like a contract if you use it. Although I will say, this may blow a few of your minds, but we've since 2016 worked with many of the top personal injury lawyers on the planet, and none of them have signed a contract with me ever to work together. I'm usually just like, well, if it ain't working for you, man, I'm not trying to hold you prisoner to it. Just tell me and I'll stop. But you know, there's certainly reasons to do contracts and things like that. So I'm not like telling you guys to do it my way. I'm just letting you know what we do.
Yeah, like for me, it's just like if I get sued, first thing my insurance company is gonna ask is, do you have a written contract, agreement, proposal, whatever? So I kind of need that.
Yeah. I always figure I would never win a legal battle with a lawyer anyway. So it's almost, but so this is this next piece, by the way, this is actually a secret sauce formula. I swear to God, if you understand this, forever and ever, when anybody says, can you tell me how much is it? You will feel so much more comfortable with that question. Conventional wisdom in our space says that when somebody asks you how much is it, at least I don't know about you guys, but I've been told, don't tell them until the very end, till they understand what it is they're getting, what they're buying, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you, as a general rule, potential clients fucking hate when they have to talk to you for 90 minutes just to find out how much it costs. And what I've learned with presenting price is the way 99% of us present price is it sounds like a take. So I'm just going to put on a little chill out music. Got some Nintendo music that I like. And so it's like this, the price is $2K a month, the price is $5K a month, the price is $10K a month, the price is $500 a month, whatever. All of that sounds like a take. It sounds like an investment. And I mentioned this last time, but I saw a guy sell $100,000 per year consulting packages in a lawyer webinar, and he followed this script to a T. And he basically said the investment is $100,000. If you're spending this much on advertisements on TV, we can usually save you $1 million a year. And so you'll come out at $900,000 ahead. Okay, then. So it's never really about price. It's always, what are you getting for the money that matters? Like I said before, the analogy I use is, if I tell you we got a car for $5,000, it's not a deal. That's not a bad deal until you know what kind of car you're getting for the $5,000. And there's a huge difference between, I'm going to sell you a 1971 used Hyundai that barely fucking runs and is a complete liability, and you're going to have to put $10,000 into it, versus like, hey, we got an extra brand new Ferrari, and for whatever reason, we're going to give it to you for $5,000 because we need to get rid of this thing immediately because it's haunted. So it's always about like what you're going to get for the money. And so the way we do it is whenever somebody asks how much it is, or when we present our price, we're going to tell them the number, and we're going to say, for that, you will typically get, and you're going to translate that to an outcome and contrast that. So instead of saying the car is $5,000, you're going to say it costs $5,000, and for that, you will get a brand new Ferrari. And it works really well if you are this type of person, and we want to call out the right type of person. So for a lot of you guys, that's just calling out people who have multiple crews or multiple staff members, things like that we mentioned, or any other criteria they would need to be successful with it. But if you do this, whenever somebody asks for the price out of sequence, you can just tell them, right? So like if somebody says in chat, like, can you just tell me how much it is? Sure, the price is this much. For that, you're typically going to get that. Works really well. If a couple of you guys actually asked me that for this workshop, the price is, I think it was like $300 a month. For that, we'll get you your first Loom client closed over video. It works really, really well. People are buying your shit already. Does that make sense? You guys following me on that? I hear silence. A lot of muted people. You guys probably have no pants on. That's all. When you guys are all muted, I assume like sketchy things are going on.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then, of course, we mentioned like the hand raiser. The other piece that I call these 4A, B, and C because this is like the end of the thing, is you're going to tell people what your offer is. You're going to tell them how much it costs, and you're going to tell them exactly what they need to do to get it. And so the best thing you do, like I said, is just do this paint by numbers. So this is the hand raiser formula. We're really just going to restate the hand raiser. This is for you. If you are this type of person, you have this type of symptom, we can help you get this kind of result using our new and exciting way out. And then the optional part of it, and we figured out how to eliminate some of the timer things you don't want to do. A couple of things about your offers, by the way, because a lot of people confuse the service and the offer. They're not the same thing. A service is like a restaurant. An offer is like, we can get you all you can eat barbecue ribs for $60.99 with cornbread, baked beans, and we got a live band coming into play. It's the offer that is we want to do the selling. So what I can tell you is the more clear you are about who it's for, the more clear you are about the outcome. If it adds on versus replacing, if it has like an element of, usually what I find is if you're asking them for a big commitment, it helps to have lots of proof elements. If you're asking them for what I call a first date, which is a smaller version of your offer, then you can get away with it. So like a lot of the revenue share deals we offer is like, let us just run one campaign for you and see if that test campaign goes well. But of course, if the test campaign goes well, like with a few of our clients, they want us to run 10, 20, 30, 40, any number of them. And it also helps, by the way, if you can take your old boring marketing stuff and create it into like a new and exciting way out, what Eugene Schwartz would call a unique mechanism. So this is just kind of a checklist to put your offer through. If you can tell me who it's for, you can tell me what happens when it's done. You can make it add on instead of compete. You can either create a miniaturized, less risky version or provide lots of proof that you're the real deal. And if you can make it different than all the other stuff they've heard before, as a general rule, you're going to have a lot easier time selling it. Rather than do this in an abstract way, I wanted to show you guys for the how it works section. And this is the longest part of the video. Most of the video is going to be talking about, you show something somebody they want. Usually they want it right then and there. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen this lately, but I've seen like a lot of posts that are hand raisers. It's like, we figured out how to make ChatGPT do all the hard work, writing our articles and descriptions. Like, I already want it. Now what I'm interested in is the plan. Tell me how it works. By the way, I don't know if you guys can hear, but I got crying children in the background. That's just part of the ambiance and fun over here. So what you guys want to do is it typically in 3 to 5 steps, show them how you're going to get them results. And this works so much better if you can do it with pictures instead. And when I say pictures, I don't mean like a couple of you guys sent me pictures of like stock photos and cartoony shit. I mean, like really show them like what you do without like going into super crazy high detail. So I'll show you one for us. This is our retargeting stuff. And what I was trying to show lawyers is that they spend all this money generating traffic and most of it is wasted. And if they spend a bunch of money retargeting, that they could, for pennies on the dollar, follow up with their very expensive traffic and convert, people into deal. So rather than like tell them with words, I created a picture. So we run ads on YouTube. We got like a bunch of different videos we cycle through. We have banner ads on the Google Display Network, go on all the news sites. We run some Facebook and Instagram stuff. And I thought, rather than try and tell them with words, when I'm explaining that we run these really big retargeting campaigns, if you can show it visually, people get it. So it took me about 15 minutes to put this together. But ever since I've shown people this, like I have no more questions about what it is we're going to do. I'll show you one more example just so you guys can see this. This is one we've run in the past. Let's see if I can do. There we go. So for a couple of years, we were running motorcycle accident campaign stuff for lawyers. And rather than say like my 3 to 5 step plan, like they want motorcycle cases, I don't have to convince them of that. They already want it. What they need is a believable plan for how we're going to get there. So I say, let me show you real quick how we're going to get them. We got a little landing page where we're giving away a free book. And I actually show them the landing page. If slow Mexican Wi-Fi will load. So say we put your logo here. We say, this is the must-have guide for riders in your state, and go through it. When people click it, we say, where do we send it? What will happen is they go onto an email list. Here's a whole bunch of different ads we're running to motorcycle people. You can see a whole bunch of these. We're also running a whole bunch of retargeting to them. We got a whole ad library. And I'm just scrolling because there's a lot of them. Where we go. And after they join, I'm like, where did it go? Here we go. They get emails. So we send them an email. Thanks for requesting our free report. They get a link to it. Then a week later, they get, don't try and figure this out on their own. Then they get, how's everything going? Don't be a victim of the insurance adjuster's tactics. They get an email, we're here for you. Can I sue without insurance? Still thinking it over. How much money can I get? All the questions they ask you. So I actually show them what it is we're going to do for them. And I try and show it with a picture as much as humanly possible. So when you want to think of the plan, it's like, this is like your treasure map for how you're going to actually produce results for them. And the best thing you want to do is show them like 30,000 foot view without getting into too much detail. I'll tell you what most marketing people do as a general rule is they hide behind like, we got a secret method, we got a proprietary system, we got a proven process. And I'm not saying those things are bad, but they work very bad for high ticket sales, high ticket services, right? Like if I'm buying a $17 ebook, the mystery and the intrigue of finding out your super secret system works really well. But if I'm buying a $17,000 service, you better be damn sure I want to know what the fuck you're going to do after I hire you. Right? And I don't need to know like in super excruciating detail, but I need to know like, what are we actually going to do here? So the biggest mistakes I see with this is people either make it too vague, too specific. So this is an example. Somebody sent me one of a vague plan. They said we use the Aura method. We onboard, optimize, and offers. We reputation, reactivate, and report. We advertise and achieve abundance. I mean, that sounds like cool little marketing lingo, but I don't know about you guys, but I don't actually know what that person's going to do for me. So that still leaves the, okay, how does it work box unchecked for me. The flip side of that is I've seen people go super like excruciating detail, and then they have like a 45-minute Loom video. Like, let me show you how we're going to set up a pixel code. Right? They don't need to know about the pixel code. So we want to think about it just like 30,000 foot view. And that's why I say 3 to 5 steps. If it's longer than that, your plan's probably too complicated. So it just worked out. Both of these were 4, but I'll show you some examples. So for the motorcycle case stuff, here's our plan for how we're going to get you motorcycle cases. We target motorcycle riders on Facebook with the interest motorcycle, motorcycle accessories, motorcycle helmets, who are within 50 miles of your law practice. We run an ad for a free book that says 7 mistakes not to make after a motorcycle crash in your state, which we license the book to you. These people give us their name and email in exchange for the free book, which again is licensed to you. We follow up with those people for a year and a half with emails and retargeting ads to come hire you as their motorcycle attorney. And then I usually say with words, statistically about 1 to 2% of people who ride motorcycles will get in an accident per year. Aren't you sure glad they're on your list and not another lawyer's? Another example, this is a guy from our mastermind who was helping restaurants, and what he figured out is, again, like $100 bill outcome. Most restaurants, they like birthday parties because people come in sometimes 10, 20, 30, 40 people for a birthday. And so they might spend like $5,000 for the night kind of thing. And so he was running it for restaurants that had email lists. So here's his plan. You got an email list. 1 in 12 of those people on your email have a birthday this month. Let's run a promotion to them offering a free dessert or an appetizer. We're going to send them to a booking page to claim that and schedule their party. And then we send them reminders via text and email before their special day that we're excited to have them. So can you guys see from those plans, can you see, like, anybody got questions about like what your plan would look like? How you would break your stuff down into 3 to 5 steps?
No, but that's exactly what I did for restaurants before COVID. And then it all went to hell because nobody can go to a restaurant together.
Yeah, totally. But the plan itself, right? Like, you know, before the madness began and people went into restaurants, it's clear, right? It's clear how you're going to take me from where I am now to result. And this is the longest part of the video. So this is the part you're actually going to spend the most time on, is explaining how it works. Because as I mentioned, like, $17 ebook, I'll buy a proven process, secret method, proprietary system. $17,000 service, I need to know what you're going to do. And it has to be very, very clear. And this is also where you're going to get the most objections. And the objections usually come in the form of, I tried something that sounds like that before and it didn't work for me.
What do you say to that?
Well, usually you just figure out where they're seeing it's the same. So I'll give you a real example rather than do this kind of theoretically. When I started running this, I was telling lawyers, like, I'm running these retargeting campaigns for you. And then the lawyers are saying, oh, I'm already doing retargeting. And when a lawyer says they're running retargeting, they mean they're running one single Facebook ad and it has no call to action. And so I was like, well, yeah, but you're doing like 5% of what I'm doing. So I just highlight where it's different. So I say, hey, you may be doing retargeting already, but you're probably doing 5% of this. I want you to think like the biggest law firms in the world, like Morgan & Morgan, where they're everywhere. They're on every radio, every TV, every billboard. You see them online. They spend the most everywhere. I want you to do that to your people with retargeting, like Morgan & Morgan, but bigger. So if you're already doing retargeting now, this may sound similar, but it's really not. You're probably only doing 5% of what we're talking about here. So you just highlight in it whatever way it's different. You just see where they, you know, I usually ask them, like, if they give you the objection, I already tried SEO before, like, where did you get the impression that what I was going to do for you and what they were going to do are the same thing? Anybody else got questions on your specific plan? This will make you a lot of fucking money if you understand this part of like how to get somebody to want something and then show them a clear, believable plan for how you'll get it. Okay, cool. If you guys want, we can circle back to any of that later.
I
Charles,
didn't want to tell you that oh, can you guys hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. You're like sitting in the dark, looking like Johnny Cash, all in black.
You know, it's the ambiance. I did use your method for the hand raiser with a client who's like never been able to generate leads, and now he's generating like 1 to 2 a day on like a $50 a month ad spend. So just wanted to like
Badass, right? It's the simple
Pretty good.
shit, man. So
simple
it's, you know,
stuff.
I'll tell you, it's made it easier for us. Like actually, part of how I learned this, we got a guy in our mastermind named Steve, and Steve used to own the second biggest car dealership. And he said, if you own a big like branded new car dealership, back in the old days, they would take out full page newspaper ads and just announce like we're giving away cars, come event. I'm sure you guys have seen those kind of ads. But he said, if you run a used car dealership, you have to sell cars individually. And back in those days, they were mostly sold through classified ads in the newspaper. And he said it was really, really hard because in a classified ad in a newspaper, you get like 20 words. And that's it. And so he's like, you had to really figure out like what was unique and interesting about this car and get to the point. And it would be like, you know, red Honda 1997, runs well, good condition, owner operated, $3,000, call here. And so he had to learn how to sell cars and like only do it in a few sentences. And a hand raiser is kind of like that. It's like you have to take this big hairy offer. Like if you're doing SEO for a client, which is one of the most complex deliverables on the face of the earth, you may be building backlinks, you may be setting up websites, you may be optimizing tags, you may be changing images, you may be getting into reviews, like your deliverable is complex. So having to say what you're actually going to do for a client in 1 to 3 sentences is like an art and a skill that like you can run really, really effective ads. And it's kind of like very similar to how the used car dealerships used to have to do it. So I'm stoked that he's getting leads.
Yeah, it was for a security guard company, like a security guard training. So it wasn't anything marketing related, but I was like, hey, let's just see if that works because we'd never
Yeah.
done it that way. So it was a big help.
Yep. All of our ads, by the way, are just hand raisers now. I have a mixture. Actually, that's not true. We do some kind of pre-selling. We'll talk about that later. It is essentially pre-selling. The secret to pre-selling, and I'll go into detail with examples, is just contrasting their current existing old plan versus your new plan and why it's cooler, better, nicer, more enjoyable, all the timer things. So this is the last part of the video, which is actually the stuff that gets shown first, but I build this last, which is the internal question is if you show somebody a result and they like it, immediately their mind will go to, well, that sounds cool, but like, will that work for me and personally in my situation? And so I like to just say this with words. This will work for you if blank. And what really helps is if you can have, usually like what goes here is typically like 1 to 3 conditions. And it helps if they are binary. Binary meaning the answer to those is yes or no. They can't be wishy-washy. Like I see a lot of coaches like, this is for you if you're coachable. Well, what the fuck does coachable mean? Like it's different things to different people. It's not a clear yes or no. As we're like on our retargeting stuff, this is for you if you have at least 1,000 visitors per month to your website and you got a couple of good testimonial videos we can use. All right, it's not wishy-washy. Either yes, you have those things, no, you do not. And so for most of you guys, what you're going to find, like what I said, what usually go here is what you'll want to rule out is usually a lot of beginner businesses that may be good people, but make for bad clients is that don't have traction. So it might be like, what I usually say is call out the people who, like if you have at least 10 people at your law firm, if you have at least 1 active crew, if you have at least, 1 dental hygienist or a couple of dental hygienists working for you. But the easiest way to think about this is just to look back and think about who are the clients that were the easiest to help and who are the clients that were the biggest pain in the ass, and call out the ones that you do want. Think about like what they had to have to show up to be successful with you. Because we also want this to screen for the right people. Like the point of a Loom video is not just to make sales of the wrong people. It's so that like the right people come through the other side of the video, like people that are going to be your clients for 5 years, 10 years. My oldest client, by the way, which I long before Loom videos, but has been with me since 2009. And I'll tell you, it makes life a lot easier when you have a client that pays you every month for like over a decade. So we want this not just to be quick and easy from a sales perspective, but we want it to bring the right people that you're still going to want in your agency 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And this is, by the way, the last part. Anybody, by the way, have any questions about like how to call out your people? This will work for you if, like, filling in the blanks on that statement. If you're not sure on that, we can always come back to any of this later. The other piece, by the way, is this is the part of the video I think the most about, which is showing a result that they want. And by the way, Hetty, since you're doing this with text, this is the same text format you're going to use. It's like fill in the blanks with these things. But it's what I call a dramatic demonstration, which is really, we can only do three things. We can show them a symptom or a problem they have in their life right now that we can help them solve. We can show them a result or what they create, or we can show them both side by side, like a before and after. And it's a key that we show them a picture of how they experience that in their reality. And so what I mentioned before is like most marketers like butcher this by defaulting to more. We'll get you more sales, more leads, more customers, more. More booked appointments, 100 gazillion, bazillion fucking booked appointments. And what we want to do is really just think about if we could produce, like, it's usually what you're putting here is not a big thing. It's a small but meaningful result. So this one was actually like, I bought this for Ilka. I don't want to say this too loud, but it's called a magic coffee mug. So you can put a custom picture. And what happens is when you pour your coffee or your tea or whatever into it, when it gets hot, the old picture-ooski lights up. And what sold it to me, by the way, was none of the copy, none of the messaging, none of it. It was the fucking picture, right? Like I could see what it did. Exactly, a text message from a real estate investor. How would they receive that in their reality? I want this. Yeah, right? It's $20, by the way, on Amazon if you want one. You can put whatever picture you want. Although I've read from the reviews, don't put it in the dishwasher. It's not like a dishwasher safe kind of thing. So this is why, like, one of those things, like this is one of my go-to, is rather than show people, I'll get you more sales through the Loom video, I go, well, how do I receive sales? And I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I usually get them in the inbox as a payment notification. So I thought, let's take a picture of that. Again, it's not about showing like the biggest, the loudest result. It's a showing a small but meaningful. Like we had actually a guy who came into our mastermind. He was working with e-commerce. And he said, how do I come up with a demonstration for e-commerce? And what we found is, I said, well, how do those people in their reality receive new sales? And he said, well, they all have a Shopify app on their phone. And whenever somebody buys, they get a ka-ching sound from their cart, and they get a notification that so-and-so just bought their product. I said, well, let's use that as the demonstration, because that's what you're actually giving them, is a cha-ching plus this picture. So we want to think about like how it actually shows up in their reality. This is one I've used. You guys may have seen me use this in the group. I'm trying to show the importance of retention. I think Josh Nelson has some really awesome stuff on retention, by the way. For those of you guys who haven't read his book, it's worthwhile reading. But I was trying to explain that most agencies are so front-end focused on sales and don't keep clients, they don't actually realize how hard they're working. So I thought, how would I show that in a picture? And I went, well, most agencies get a client for like 3 to 4 months, which is like 3, maybe 4 Stripe payments. And if you keep them for 2 years, which I think is the bare minimum you should shoot for, you get 24 of those. So rather than say like retention is a good thing, and it's all these amazing things, I think like, how would that show up in their reality? Well, it would show up to me in terms of the payment inbox. And this is like a before and after kind of situation. You'll notice, by the way, the hook for this workshop was before I showed a picture of like a busy calendar, which I used to have, and many of you guys may have at some point. And now where it's just like, hey, they watched your video, let's do it. All right, that's an example of before and after, the symptom and those together. Christian from our mastermind sells a whole bunch of websites with posts like these. Hey, another beautiful website and happy customer. And what sells it is they can see the website. If you think this copy is brilliant, probably needs some work as a copywriter. Right? This is one I mentioned before we've done with dentists. Oral was breaking into dentists, and what dentists told him is, over and over, I've spent all this money on a big, fancy, expensive website. It looks like a magazine. And they would say, but my hygienist chair is empty. Meaning, like, I'm paying a hygienist $80,000, $90,000 a year to service teeth, and they have nobody to service because our website is not converting. So we created this demonstration. This is a demonstration of the symptom. Does this look familiar? You got a $40,000 website, but at the end of the day, the chair is empty. By the way, if you say that and it's accurate, you're like 70 to 80% of the sale made already right there. Doesn't mean they're going to throw their cash at you like right there in this single step, but they're like 3/4 of the way bought into what you're going to sell just based on the fact that you so accurately described what's going on in their world. And of course, I put this one here because weight loss been doing this forever. How do you sell weight loss? Anybody, by the way, anybody here else has like done P90X? I've done P90X twice in my life. It's like the most brutal, awful workout.
It is terrible.
It's so hard, right? You're just like,
I couldn't do it.
but how do they sell P90X? Have you ever seen the infomercial?
That's how I bought it.
It's basically, it's the formula for this, right? They show before and after. They go, this was me before. No, I'm fucking shredded. This is me before. 90 days later, I'm fucking shredded. And you see like 10 different people. And then, of course, when it gets to the plan, which is the longest part of the video, they know that if they sell the same plan you've heard before, you're not going to buy it. So what is the new and exciting way out in their plan? Does anybody remember it? Anybody know what it is? It's 2 words. Muscle. You guys haven't seen the infomercial. You guys are not infomercial connoisseurs. It's called muscle confusion. And they say, old plan, the reason why most workouts don't work, because after a couple of weeks, your body adjusts to them and you're just doing the same workout over and over and your body plateaus. They say, we introduce muscle confusion, which is we constantly throw new workouts at you. So your body never gets fully adjusted, and therefore you keep making big gains month after month. Old plan, new plan. It's literally how they sell the infomercial. They show you a bunch of before and after demonstrations, and then they say old plan, new plan. And then they say, now you can get DVDs and bands for $100. Call here or go here and give us your credit card. Am I the only one who's seen that infomercial, by the way?
It's just been a long time.
Yeah. Anybody else seen that one? I guess we got a couple people overseas that never. Dustin, you seen that one? No. You should watch it. It's basically like a 30-minute Loom video with a little more hype attached to it because it's in the weight loss. We're gonna get you in the best fucking shape of your life in 90 motherfucking days. Here's Charles. I lost 100 pounds and look at me now.
Oh, I'm in, man.
So this is how, by the way, I put 2 documents together for you guys so you can do this. The way we present them is we show the demonstration first. We call out who it's for. We show them a little 3 to 5 step plan. We say, this is for you if you are this type of person. We tell them how much it is. And we tell them what to do next if they want it. But it helps to actually build them in reverse. It helps, in my experience, to figure out, tell them what do you want them to do next? How much is it going to cost them? What is the actual offer? How are you going to get them the result? That's why I said we showed this in reverse. But I've got some templates for you here. And really, all we're going to do is just put our headline. And for a lot of you guys, like your results, they may not seem all that sexy to you, but they're actually really, really simple. So like, for example, Mark came to me in our mastermind and said, well, I'm just generating leads. Like, yeah, it's not really that exciting. Then, and I said, well, can you show me one of your leads? And he showed me it was like kitchen remodeling, which is his niche. And he got a text message, and it was from a lady. The most recent one said, here's a picture of my kitchen. Can you help me fix this? Like, what, can you give me a quote for how much this would cost? I'm like, that's your demonstration. Like, if that's what you're actually really giving people is a lead who says, here's a picture of my kitchen. Can you give me a quote? Put that right there. That's what you're actually bringing people. Rather than abstract talk about, we can get you more leads, more customers, blah, 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 blah. Just here's a typical result. Somebody messages you, sends a picture of your kitchen. They want to know, can you give them a quote? And depending on how good you are at closing those quotes, you can land $30,000, $40,000 kitchen jobs. This is for you if you already have a process in place to close kitchen jobs and you got a couple of crews to manage the workload. Like I said, typically if you nail this first slide, 75% of the sales already made. Now they just need the logical side to believe you for how it works, how much it's going to cost, and all those sort of things. So what goes here is, like I said, we're going to put whatever the headline is, describe what you're going to give them. A demonstration of your result. This is for you if, and then we do in 3 to 5 steps. Helps to show you, let me show you how it works. And then we say, we restate the offer. We give them the investment. We say for that, you're going to typically get blank. It works really well if you're in this situation. Here's what you need to do next. And again, this helps if you're going to show it visually. So I'll show you guys a real example of this. Take it out of the abstract. Hopefully this will help you. Where are my most recent slides? So by the way, I've tested introducing yourself. Like, hey, I'm Frankie Finn. And they don't convert any better by introducing yourself. I would suggest just don't. You don't even need to say, hey, my name's Frankie and you should know me because of blah, blah, blah. That's just wasted time in the video in my experience. You might just like say, hey, it's Frankie. And I'm going to show you how we're getting kitchen remodeling jobs, but I don't even introduce myself anymore. So this is a slide we tested with these. And these are the first ones we were doing personalizing. So let me just show you. Sorry, I rearranged all my files. I need a second here just to find where I put my shit. Where did I put? This is what happens when you're disorganized with all your files. Anybody have any questions while I'm looking for?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, fire away.
So I have because I have like a more lower tier offer that might mix up the higher tier offer that I'm offering. Can you just create 2 different LIM videos and just have 2 different email campaigns? Kind of do it like that.
How I would do that is yes, with 2 videos. So when they reach out to people,
Yeah.
we haven't really gotten to this step yet, but there is a brief period where you're having a text conversation with them.
Yeah.
What I typically do is just to start that conversation is remind them that they requested this video, because depending on that relationship, if they just heard of you 5 minutes ago, sometimes they won't even remember they requested the damn video, right? Like, hey, what's up, Ali? You requested blah, blah, blah. And then I'd say, give me a sec here. I'm just going to copy and paste the video for you if you don't mind. But I'd say, do you mind telling me a little bit about your situation? And that's my like go-to. And what I'm looking for is usually if you ask somebody to tell you about their situation, they'll open up a little bit about the symptoms that they're presently experiencing. And then based on that, I would send them 1 or 2 videos.
Okay.
But you can sell almost anything this way. Like I've experienced like selling a whole lot of kind of different things that way, but like you can definitely sell a course or whatever.
After, yeah, okay. And this is after, because I'm talking like if you're doing, I know you're talking more if you're doing a hand raiser, but if let's say you're doing email or cold emailing or whatnot, would kind of be the same idea when they respond.
Yeah, well, usually like with cold email, like this is the thing, right? The hand raiser is to get them to request the video, where most people go with is like,
Yeah.
hey, I have this cool thing, let's talk for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever. But I usually just like when I do cold outreach, which I don't do a ton of because I'm a bigger believer in bringing them to you. I
Yeah.
think it's just a more efficient way of doing it. And I'll tell you, like my hack for that is identify the shoe stores in your industry, like the places where they're
Yeah.
buying all the stuff already, and then figure out how you can create like a training or a webinar, which is essentially just your new plan. Like it's literally just old plan versus new plan. Like this is the way most people are getting results. Let me show you the new, better way we figured out. And at the end of that is just a soft pitch of like, hey, if you want us to do it. And the way I kind of like do this is if you really understand and internalize is I give away the ideas for free and I charge for the implementation. And so the way I can ethically show up like in an inbox is I don't show up with like what most people do is of the frame of, hey, I got some shit to sell you. Hopefully you want to buy it. Is I show up more as like my scripts are always written from a place of like, hey, I had a really cool idea for you. Hey, David. Hey, Ollie. Hey, Charles. Hey, Kevin. I had a really cool idea for you to help you do blah, blah, blah. And so if you write the messages from that place, you're not taking anything. You're just giving them like, essentially the value comes from the understanding the new plan. So typically this is my sequence, and I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. There's a lot of ways you can be successful with it. But when we would do outreach, is the first message is essentially like a hand raiser, where I say like, hey, do you guys do motorcycle cases? And if they say yes, and we want motorcycle cases, then my next message is, well, good. I figured out a way, I had a really cool idea to bring you some, and I put it together in a little video. Is it okay if I send you the video? And then they usually say, yeah. And I try to, depending on the situation, like how cold they are, it can be a little tricky, but I try and get them to open up a little bit about, can you tell me just a little bit about like your practice and your situation and the kinds of cases you guys manage now? Sometimes they'll answer that, sometimes they won't. But then I literally just send them in the video. And the cool thing about Loom is it tells you whether or not they watched it. So
Yeah.
you know whether what your next message is going to be.
Do you find sometimes the Loom it tells you if they watch it, but sometimes it doesn't? Because I have some clients who do watch it.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
Not perfect, right? Okay, yeah.
If they don't watch it, and this is some of the advanced stuff, but what I typically do is I always default to humor. And the way I do that is I presume the reason they did not respond is because they're busy and they have shit going on in their world.
Mhm.
Yeah, no worries, David. And so the way I typically do that is a form of like, I'll make a joke like, hey, I heard you got kidnapped by aliens. No, just kidding. But I know you've been busy, but just wanted to give this a friendly little bump and let you know this video is still here for you to check out or whatever. Or
Yeah.
I'll do the, hey, I'm worried about you, man. You haven't gotten back to me, and I think you may have fallen down a well. If that's the case, come have your dog bark twice and they'll come rescue you. No, I'm just kidding. I know you've been busy. Just want to remind you this video is here. And I do that in all situations where I always presume the reason why. And this is true, by the way, like this is not just like bullshit. Like David can confirm this because we both have too many kids. Is almost always like this happens to me almost every day where I see a message. I'm about to respond and I get, Daddy, would you hit me? I want some food. And so I go, okay, hold on. I'll put the message away. And then it's marked as read and I forget to respond. Like it happens to me fucking 20 times a week, every week. So if somebody just gives me a friendly little reminder that they exist, it's like, it's the nicest way to do it. Like almost always The reason they didn't respond is because they have, like, a lot of times when we send a cold outreach message, that's the most important thing going on in our world. And in their world, it's like literally a blip in their inbox that barely fucking means anything. But having said that, I'm a big believer in, if you go to a shoe store, like, cold outreach, which I'm not against, is the equivalent of like knocking on doors. And if you knock on 10,000 doors, somebody will buy for you. But I'd rather knock on one door that has already organized 10,000 buyers for me and offer to add value to them and use that as a, and all you have to do from like a delivering training or value is literally just old plan, new plan. That alone will be valuable to people, and it will pre-sell whatever comes after it. So that was kind of the advanced stuff I was going to show you guys next week. So you can pre-sell a Loom video, because if someone will buy your plan, they'll buy your thing that attached to that plan.
Yeah.
You can do this on sales calls. If you're still doing sales calls, you can say, hey, Mr. Prospect or Mrs. Prospect, let me tell you what my plan would be for you. And then before you present price or offer or anything else, say, tell me, like, if you don't mind me asking, what do you think of that plan? And if their answer is, that sounds exactly like I need, then they'll buy whatever, almost like 9 times out of 10, they'll buy whatever comes next. But if they say to you, well, you know, I don't know, I've kind of tried that SEO thing before and it's been a miserable experience, then you know that there's like, okay, well, let's diagnose what's not cool about that plan to you. And then you can deal with the objections before they come up, before their actual like price and sales objections. You can deal with them right in the moment. So that's one of my go-tos, is give them the plan and say, what do you think of that plan? And based on their reaction, I'll know where we're actually at in the sales journey without having to push money or all those kind of things. But that's what I would do, is I would focus on who's already built a gazillion buyers, because I've done it that way, where you can sign up like 10, 20, 30, 40 fucking buyers at once. I've had a few people come to me in the last year who said, I saw you in Jeff Miller's thing. Well, Jeff Miller is a shoe store, and I purposely put value in front of his audience in terms of old plan, new plan, in order to bring those people into my world, right? So I'm not against the outreach, but I think you could be way more efficient if you identify the sources of where they're buying it from, and then tap into their buyer flow. The other thing is, if you have an audience of people, or I can just tell you, like, I'm a small time influencer, but I'm an influencer nonetheless, is every day people ask me about shit that I don't know how to help them with. Hey, what's the best software for blah, blah, blah? I don't fucking know. Like, we don't even fucking use that software, right? Like, I don't know. You know, hey man, can you recommend me somebody who does blah, blah, blah? I have my eyes peeled for that now, but I don't know. And if you actually care about your audience, you're trying to be useful to them, and you're always looking for shit. So believe it or not, those influencers are looking for you, because they're looking for, like, hey, do you know anybody who can help with blah, blah, blah? And do you know how to get reviews? Do you know who good SEO? They're getting asked that, and they don't have always good answers. And so if you show up and say, like, hey, let me add some value to your people, I'm going to teach them this new cool thing, blah, 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 we'll add some value. And I'll just make a little soft pitch at the end if they want my help on the implementation side, but I'm going to give them all the cool ideas for free. You can almost always get in front of like 10,000 buyers in one shot. And then you can sell like 10, 20 clients at once. I think it's a better energy efficient way to do it. The only thing I actually use outreach for now personally is to test where my hand raiser is at. If I want brutal honesty from cold strangers who are going to give me no bullshit, because they have no reason to bullshit you. But other than that, once I get the basic hand raiser dialed in, because it's a free way to test it, we never do outreach anymore. I think it's like literally the least efficient way to bring clients in, when you can do it. Like, you can pull in 10, 20, 30. Like, to me, I would rather cold pitch one event in your industry on why you should be put in front of them than to chase, you know, I don't know, 100 people individually.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I think everybody likes cold outreach because it's cheap and it's free and you can test it real quick. But I think from an efficiency point of view, it's like literally 100 fucking better ways to bring people to you at scale. Like, for example, like, you know, I mentioned, like, one of the events is put on in my industry by Michael Mogul. They get 10, 20, 30,000 lawyers to come into an event. all to like grow their practice, and they have all kinds of vendors, and they got Arnold Schwarzenegger and David Goggins is there, and who else was there? They had there was some other like Kevin O'Leary was there. They've had some other like A-listers and things like that. Gary V's been there. He told me Gary V charges him like 200 grand to speak. That's his speaking fee.
Yeah.
So like I pitched him on like, let me run a free training on all you can do with like their company. What they actually do is they create videos. So they have a $50 million per year video marketing agency where they do like really like movie trailers for lawyers. And I said, like, after they get these videos created, like they have to get them out into the world. And I found no better way to do that than with omnipresent retargeting. Let me just do a free training for your lawyers and I'll show them like how they can take these videos and put them out in the world. And if they want my help on the implementation side, like it'll be on the back end. But in doing so, I can get in front of like 10, 20,000 buyers in 5 minutes. And that's a more efficient use of door knocking to me than like individually knocking on doors. Having said that, I think there's a value in like testing an offer real quick with outreach. Because if I message somebody and say, hey, do you guys handle motorcycle cases? And they say yes. And I go, I figured out how to get you some. And nobody at all anywhere is interested. Like it's not going to be useful in front of a larger audience. So it's an easy way to test offers, but that's all I really use it for personally.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I guess my slides are, I don't know where I must have deleted shit off my computer, but I wanted to show you guys. So this is part of my plan slides for one of our presentations. And I guess this is a little bit out of order, but I say like, hey, what typically happens is for every 100 people who come to your website, 4 or 5 of them statistically from Google are going to pick up the phone and call your law firm. And that means about like 95, 96% of them like literally never hear from you again. And what we figured out is that even though it's really expensive to drive legal traffic, retargeting the people who are interested in your law firm is actually dirt cheap. So what we do is we put a little bit of code on your website and then follow up with people on every platform using all the content you've created over years. So all those YouTube videos you're already paid for, we show them to people. All the reviews you've gotten people, we highlight those. All the social media stuff you're putting out there, we follow up. Here's an example. If you have like a real life case study, show it. If you don't, before we had a case study, I just showed the idea. But I wanted to show you guys, we show that visually. Still can't figure out where my initial image was for it. The other slides that we're showing them here are just like literally explaining the plan. So I say, this was based on the objection we were getting, which is, hey, I want you to be like Morgan & Morgan. I say what most people are doing is, you know, if like Morgan & Morgan only ran a bus stop ad, they wouldn't be as effective as they were on TV and on radio and on billboards. So I want you guys to be like Morgan & Morgan and not just run like one little rinky-dink bus stop retargeting ad, but I want you to be everywhere. And then I say, sorry, these are like mixed up slides out of order. I don't know where I put them all. I rearranged my computer like a week or 2 ago. And I've also shown them like as well, like instead of like normally where they disappear, they start seeing you on Facebook and they start seeing you on the New York Times and Men's Health. And they start seeing you on YouTube and they start seeing you here and here and there and on all these different websites. This is the actual like core of the 3-step plan. We put a few lines of code on your website that allows us to retarget people on 80% of the websites. And what that means for you is we take your typical call percentage from 4.25% to more like 10 to 15, and you get more of the leads you already paid for to actually work with your law firm. So this is like just showing you guys like what the plan kind of looks like in these videos. Any questions about that? I guess I should. But we're essentially, remember I said in 3 to 5 steps, I'm showing you how I'm taking you from where you're at now to result. And also we've highlighted this now. This says you have to have at least 1,000 visitors a month. And there's a very specific reason why that number is 1,000. Anybody know why that number is 1,000 and not like 200 or 44,000 or 15? What's the smallest retargeting ad you can run on Facebook, audience size?
No idea.
1,000 people. So we didn't randomly come to that number. It's like, well, they only let us retarget your traffic. I tried running this for a lawyer who's like, does most of his stuff in the real world. Like, so he goes to events and like he shakes hands with people and he's all around the community. And so he gets all his business that way. And I thought he would be a good fit for it. And as soon as we started running the retargeting, like we couldn't turn on the ads because he didn't have enough traffic. So that like actually came from like a real life, but that's it. We install a few lines of code on your website. We run a bunch of retargeting ads. And in doing so, we change your call percentage from like 4.25% on average to like 10 to 15.
So are you typically looking for people that are already running like Google ads or doing SEO then? Is that
Yeah.
kind of your stick? Okay.
That's kind of that's an advanced concept that I used the golf course to explain. I don't know if you guys have seen my golf course last time, but this has been like a little bit of a secret sauce for me. Is I compare high ticket sales to like a golf course where usually like if it's a small impulse purchase, like I say, like if you buy a Snickers bar at the checkout counter, there's not like a big decision. It's very binary. I want it, I don't want it. But bigger purchases have like a journey you go through to come to a decision. Like it's like the biggest purchase, a house. Very few people just like see one ad, go, I want that house, go buy it. An hour later, here's your keys kind of thing. Like it doesn't work like that, right? It's usually they'll start figuring out how much their existing house is worth. They'll check out some options. They'll ask for friends and referrals. They'll start reading different ads. They might go look at a few. They might go look at one particular house 3 times. Then they might, hey, go get an approval at the bank. Like, so there's a journey they go on. And what happens is like 99% of agencies are obsessed with this band right here, which is how to help complete strangers go 450 yards to the hole. I'm going to get you new leads, new business, new. And the reason they do that is because that's what businesses ask for. It's what they think they need. And so if you ask a business owner thinks I want to make more money, and his mind immediately or her mind will immediately go to, I need more new people. Bring me strangers to buy my shit. What happens is once a business has been established for more than like 5 minutes and they have employees and things like that, there's almost always flow around the golf course, meaning there's balls at all different stages. Like you think about a house, there's certain people who are just getting the idea to sell their house. There's certain people who've already been shopping around. There's certain people who've like actually been to houses and been to open houses and are looking at them. There's some of them who've even taken a contract up with a realtor. There's some of them who've gotten their mortgage in order. There's some of them who are like planning on buying a house before the weekend and need some like, so there's balls all around the golf course. And what I do that's different than most people is I work my way from already at the hole backwards, because this is the easiest money. So in the case of the big lawyers we mentioned, is the first question I ask myself is like, do they have people who recently bought? And the answer to that is, as a general rule, is yes. But the tricky thing is they usually only sell one thing, and that's like, were you injured in a car accident? And unless somebody goes out and gets a second car accident, there's not really a second thing to sell them. So I said, okay, let's not work with the recently bought. Then I go, do they have past customers? And often the answer is yes. And the biggest struggle I had with that is a lot of times they don't even have their past customers in a list. So they've got like 25 years in business, and like it's a pain in the ass to even get those names into an email list or a spreadsheet. Then I said, do they have people who recently let them go? Like stop being past clients? And it's not really a thing in my industry, because usually injury lawyers, you only pay after results. You don't typically fire an injury lawyer. And then I thought, do we have people that almost bought? And the answer to that question was, yeah, they have people who almost bought all the time. The bigger lawyers are spending $200 a click on PPC. They're spending hundreds of thousands on TV ads. They drive shitloads of traffic, and they have people who almost bought from them all the time. And so my answer to that was like, well, let's retarget the ever living fuck out of the people who almost bought from you and show them all your best stuff. Cool thing about these kind of ads is I don't have to cycle them because they're always driving new traffic. So the ads are always new to somebody, meaning like once I set these ads up, I like leave them for like 8, 9, 12 months at a time. Like I just send them, like, if you honestly knew, the truth is I just invoice them every month and send them a report about how it's going, but I don't even look at their ad accounts. There's actually one lawyer who had to verify some shit in Google. I asked him to do it and he didn't. And I looked and I realized we hadn't been running ads for him for like 30 days and like nobody even noticed. Yeah, exactly, Eddie. But this offer came out of like working from the hole backwards. I'm like, I want to start with the easiest money first, not with the hardest. I'm like, so if you think about it in the injury case, somebody's driving down the highway, they get in an accident, they go see a doctor, they get some treatment. Now all of a sudden they're starting to look at injury lawyers because they know, they've heard they might be able to get rich. The insurance company might not be telling them the truth. So they start checking out some injury lawyers. They do some Google searches. Then they narrow it down like, well, these ones sound interesting. Let me read their reviews. I'll go visit their website. I'm going to read about their lawyer profiles. I'm going to click on some shit. But most times they haven't actually like called here. And what typically happens is they fall off, right? Like most funnels, they disappear and so I'm like, man, they got traffic that's like 20 yards from the hole. And I was talking to Dustin about this because there's no more obvious place than the fact that there's golf balls along the hole than the coaching industry. I have some coaching friends that are like crushing it with terrible funnels, like terribly optimized funnels with golf balls all over the hole. So like one of my friends, Kate, comes to mind. Their coaching company's doing like 350 grand a month. So what's that, like 4 million a year, 5 million a year coaching business? And so how their process works is they'll usually get like 10,000 people to register for a webinar. And because there's so many fucking webinars today, like less than half the people even watched the webinar they just signed up for 5 minutes ago. So they get 10,000 people on their list. 5,000, if they're lucky, will actually watch said webinar. Then they find out those 5,000, maybe 1 to 2,000 will actually make it all the way through the webinar. Of those 1 to 2,000 who make it through, maybe about 10% of them will book a call. So they get 100 to 200 sales calls. Of those 100 to 200 sales calls, they close about maybe 1 in 4. So they'll get like 25 to 50 clients from that. And by the way, of those 100 to 200 sales calls, like 20, 30, 40 of them don't even remember to show up for the call they booked. And they end up at the end of the day with 25 to 50 clients from 10,000 webinar registrations. Well, when they want to go get 25 to 50 more clients, where do you think they look?
I would think at the people who didn't, like, of the 10,000 that they originally got.
Yeah, you would think that. But what they say is we need to get another $10,000 or 10,000 webinar registrations so that we can sign up 25 to 50 people at the end of our funnel.
Yeah.
And so if you take the opposite approach and go, well, firstly, what about the 25 to 50 people who bought? Maybe they would want something else. So like, that's the easiest money first. The second easiest thing is like, they have past customers. What about people who like took your coaching program 2 years ago? Like maybe they need help with something else. What about people who like recently let you go, who just like finished your 8-week program? Or what about the people who almost bought? Like, okay, so you closed 25 out of 100 people. What about the 75 who like didn't take you? Like as Ali said, maybe there's a downsell. What about the people who like booked a call and didn't even come to their call? Like, do you think maybe we could run a little campaign that says like, hey, So it seems like you missed your call. How about you rebook? They got leads and prospects. They got a couple of thousand people who've never even seen the fucking webinar. Right? Like their whole conversion mechanism. So we could send some emails and plug some of those holes and say, and then they got followers and friends. They got 10,000 people on the list who are all at different stages of this golf course, but their mind goes straight to, and this is a $4 or $5 million a year company, is like, we need more front end webinar registrations. We need more new people. So if you understand this, this is how we create like easy, like if you want an easy slam dunk first offer, just look at like shit that's within 10, 20 yards of the hole and offer to do something with that. And almost always it's the easiest sale you'll ever make in your life. Right? Like if somebody didn't buy from the first phone call, just following up with them, some of them will buy. If somebody like bought some shit from them once, they'll probably buy some shit from them twice. If somebody like didn't show up to their call and you like follow up with them, some of them will follow up. So that's kind of like in a nutshell, that's like kind of a little bit more advanced, but when I come up with an offer, that's kind of like what we're looking at is I look, because I've learned from this, like they generally don't, they don't need as much help over here. Mark actually, who's not on the call today, but was telling me he started his offer is like, if you're an HVAC company, I'm going to generate leads. And by the way, all the competition is here, like 450 yards away. Everybody else is going to generate leads, SEO. And I asked him and he said, I worked 15 years in HVAC. And I said, what did you do? And he said, well, I was a salesperson. And I said, were you any good? And he said, I was the best salesperson they had. And I said, well, how did you do it? And he said, well, everybody else, like if you put out 10 quotes, 3 people of those 10 quotes will buy from you. What everybody else did is, soon as they would go looking for the next 10 quotes. And I said, what did you do differently? And he said, well, a week later, I'd call some of the people back and say, hey, looks like we were either off on price or it was a timing thing, or maybe you didn't need it, but I'd just love to hear your feedback. Like, is there anything we could have done differently? And he said, sometimes they would say, well, you quoted $10,000, $20,000. I don't have 20,000. I was hoping to pay like 17.5. Or they'd say like, oh, I didn't know you had payment plans. If I didn't have to pay the 20,000 all at once, like then I could do it. And what we found by doing that is like, that's your service, buddy. That's your offer. It's like help other companies who are spending all this money on new. It's like the last 5 yards of the, I call this the fantasy football effect. For those of you guys who ever like participated in fantasy football, is there's a phenomenon that'll drive you crazy if you play fantasy football called the goal line running back. Because there's a running back who takes the ball 60 yards up the field, and then there's a guy who comes in for 2 yards and punches it in for 2 yards. And what happens is in fantasy football, you get a point for every 10 yards. So the guy who like brought the ball 60 yards down the field gets 6 points. The guy who brought it the last fucking 1 yard over into pay dirt is worth 6 points. And it drives you crazy either way, right? Because either you got the guy who's getting the 6 points from running it in, you're like, run up the field too. Or you got the guy who does all the hard work and then somebody else finishes his work. So as a general rule, I would say, like, this is just my suggestion of just kind of a little bit outside of the scope of this workshop. But I'm a big believer in like, be the goal line running back. Like, but let everyone else run the ball 60, 70, 80 yards up the field. It's the last couple of yards on the field that are the most valuable anyway. Specialize in helping companies punch it into the goal line, and you'll be way, way better paid than the people who, because this happens all the time. Like lawyers in my industry are paying all this money to get the ball like 80 yards up the field to get it within putting distance, and then they drop it. And I'm just like, I'll just be the guy who picks it up and punches it in. And, it's the easy money first, because it's a warm audience, right? Like in my case, they've been in a car accident. They Googled lawyers. They clicked my guy's website. They read his reviews. Like they're close to the hole. They know who he is. So that's, like I said, a little bit out, beyond the scope of this, but I wanted to show you guys that because I think it's useful. But as far as actually building these Loom videos, you guys will have your slides here. So start with a headline, a demonstration, and call them out. So when you guys are presenting this, it's like, you don't even have to say like your name. Just show them what a typical result or a problem you can solve is and say, this is for you if, let me show you how it works. Show them in 3 to 5 steps. And then say, recap the offer, tell them how much it is. Remind them like what the outcome they're going to get for that money is. Tell them it works really well if you're in this situation, and then say, if you'd like to get started, here's what you need to do. If it's not for you, just tell us no, and we won't bother you anymore. But if you don't tell us no, then I don't know you're a no, and I'm going to bother you until you tell me no. And if you have any questions, let me know. You can always just send me a message on Facebook or reply to this email. Any questions on all that? We can actually talk about anything you guys want, but I just wanted to show you the basic framework on that. It's really just like I said, it's doing a sales call and fast forward. It's like,
Do
we
you
know
go
they're
through,
after
like
a
a
result.
planner. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. What's that?
I was saying, like, do you go through a planner whenever you do this, or do you know it well enough now, like it's the back of your hand, so you just build them out? Use like a template or anything, or do you actually go through those slides when you're trying to set all this up?
Yeah, I'll show you what we use. I'll put this for you guys in the. So a lot of people, like, I was talking to Dustin about this like an hour ago, but a lot of people have told me over the years that I write really good copy, and I don't think I do. I don't see myself as a copywriter. What I'm good at is creating good offers that essentially, because they're good offers, they create great copy out of them. And so what I do is, this is the framework that I use for creating an offer, and I'll put this for you guys in there. But what I've learned is, and one of my mentors said this really, really brilliantly, and I've mentioned this before, but if you can't sell your offer in 1 to 3 sentences, then adding videos, follow-ups, funnels, blah, 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 it won't change that. Like if I say I can get you motorcycle cases, like adding more videos to that won't change it if they don't want motorcycle cases. So part of what I wanted to do is figure out a way to know where I stood with an offer really, really quick. And so what I do is I come up with a summary. And so what I typically do is just fill out this. So I start with symptoms that they're experiencing, and maybe I can show you guys an example. Let me see if I have Chris's. This is one we just did like the other day. So we went through in his case, and by the way, on this hand raiser thing, what do you guys think is the single biggest variable for whether or not it works? Like if you're going to change one thing when it's not working, what do you think that one thing is?
The audience.
But I guess I don't mean the audience in this case, just because most of you guys know who your audience is. Like you have a defined niche, but like the pieces that you're right that the audience is the biggest factor. I guess I should say, what's the second biggest? The symptom. Allie got it. Because it took me a lot of years to realize this, but in a high ticket sale, they're buying their way out of their problem a lot more than they're buying their way into your solution. They're buying their way out of their problem, not into your solution. So the more you can point to something that they're doing now that they don't want to do, the more, when I understood that, then you understand if you can accurately just describe a symptom of what somebody's doing right now. So like the symptom for this workshop that I hit on a few, but it was like sending massive amounts of outreach, doing massive amounts of prospecting, talking to all these people, doing all these sales calls, 60 to 90 minutes, only to end up with like 4 or 5 yeses at the end of the month if you're lucky. So what I typically do is the left half of this offer matrix is always filled out by the audience. I don't guess at these. This is not the time to guess. And the right side has come up with me. Like my new and exciting way out is me. The things I've eliminated for them are me, but what they're dealing with. And the reason I fill out the symptoms most importantly is because if you know somebody's symptom, you automatically know what they want, right? If somebody says, I don't want to do sales calls anymore, then what do they want? They want to have sales without sales calls. They either want a salesperson to take care of it, or they want people to come to them pre-sold, ready to buy. So I'll show you what we did in this case. He's working with veterinarians, and I just do a search for the hardest part about. I like to hear it right from the horse's mouth. So this is always like a listening process. I'll show you the search I do.
Oh, cool. That was my next question.
Is I
You go
type in a
like-
site like Reddit and Quora are my go-to, and I just go, what is the hardest part of being a veterinarian? And you'll see, like, hardest part about this job. What's the hardest part? Like, there's all kinds of discussions. And the reason why I use Reddit and Quora is I learned this from Jay Abraham, is they upvote the answers. Right. So like it's almost like a cheat code of like the greatest amount of things. So I'll show you, these were the threads. I'll put some links on here, but you guys, just so you can see this done for somebody else. Let's just put this up. See if I can put my best and worst part about your job. So best. Wide variety skills, make a difference, greatest privilege to end the suffering of old and sick pets, watching them grow up, experiencing life with them. Worse, sometimes a lot of drama in clinics, hours are long. It's not a job you'll be paid well for. It's emotionally draining. Sympathy fatigue is a real issue. Seeing people not willing to pay to help their animals, or just unable to and not being able to do anything about it. They love helping people. Worst is sometimes they have the meanest dogs. Sometimes they have to euthanize animals. Show you just another one just so you guys can see this. What are some of the problems you come across being a veterinarian? People. It's a customer service industry. By the way, most of the same problems of being a veterinarian are the same problems as running as an agency, because it's a people business. People expect you to fix a problem with the animal and then follow zero of the advice you give them. Anybody ever had an agency client that expect you to fix a problem and then you don't follow your advice, right? Like, as I said, like service businesses, we have more in common than different. But what we do is I literally just take that quote, is people expect you to fix a problem with the animal and then follow zero of the advice you gave them, copy and paste. And I just use this exercise to gather symptoms. Does anyone actually like being a veterinarian? Absolutely love it. Best piece of advice they offered me when I went into it is, don't do it if you want to get away from people and spend time with animal. Every animal comes with one, if not a family attached, and often there are breeders, rescue organizations, not to mention technicians and staff that keep you going every day. Right? So they find the owner of the pet much harder to deal with than the pet. Hardest part about being a vet. This one says it's hard to deal with owners who won't help their thing. The hardest part about a vet is dealing with people. I would have stopped there.
Then you just craft a solution around all those symptoms, and there's your offer, basically.
Yeah, and so I'll show you what we typically do is they said the hardest one for them is telling somebody their pet has cancer. Look from the owner's face. You won't be able to solve all of these, by the way. And some of these things you may just be able to improve. Like, you're not going to like come in with a magic pill and make all their life better. But the first thing we do is I put it through what I call the temperature test, is because I never know for sure which symptoms are going to be the biggest hits. I mean, you have to kind of test that in front of the audience. But what we typically do is I ask myself two questions. Question number one is frequency, meaning like how likely are they going to be to experience this problem, like everyday recurring thorn and paw. And then the second thing I ask myself is emotional, because like I brush my teeth every day, like hopefully my kids do some days, but it's not emotional, right? I don't get stressed out about brushing my teeth. So I want it to check those two boxes. I want it to be frequent and emotional. And then I just look at it. So in this case, the red ones were the most frequent and emotional what we looked at. They said, definitely money for me. Someone wants me to fix their animal for free when there is a lot I can do, but they can afford it. And then they blame us and claim we're money hungry. I work emergency. Nobody expects to come see me. They don't expect a vet bill for $1,000 just for diarrhea, and stop accusing me of price gouging. right? So to me, like my solution to that is to help them focus on the clients who do have the money and who do have. So I would just ask them like, well, what are the good clients like? And they'd say, I really love treating pets that have teeth cleanings. All right. Well, how about we run a campaign
Rich
to help?
owners.
What's that?
Rich owners.
Rich owners, right? Like
Yeah.
we can aim our stuff at the affluent areas or whatever it is, right?
One thing I saw that I would probably use there, I saw this with a dumpster rental company, was that they offered, so I don't know if you're familiar with merchant cash advance companies. They're like these really crappy loans. And I know, ask me how I know, but what they would do is they'd say, well, sometimes this rental company would need to, like, we've tapped them out. So they've got all the leads they can handle. Now they need another trailer they can rent out. So they would offer them this like financing option. And so I think here it'd be like, well, if you have people that can't afford it, then you need to be partnering up with like a animal insurance, like pet insurance, health
Yeah.
insurance, or some sort of like financing option for them. And then target also target the rich people. But yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Like target the symptom, find all the symptoms, and then.
But if you
handle
understand it, right? Like
solution.
they're buying their way out of this way more than they give a fuck about your SEO or your AdWords, or in Allie's case, your PR. They're not buying PR. They're buying their way out of these things right here. So what I usually do is I usually just test one symptom at a time. So if you are, so like in the case of this, if you're an agency owner and you're doing outreach, we can help you sell your shit through Loom videos and never have to do a sales call again. If you're an agency owner, it's experiencing 60 to 90 minute sales calls that crush your soul, we can help you just skip the sales call. And so I test the outreach versus the sales call. Like which one of those are they buying their way out of more? The having to message at 10,000 prospects, or the having to do calls with people and they hate doing the calls, right? So I just test them one at a time. But it's the single biggest thing that'll determine whether or not these work. And so that's why I float these out there. So to answer your question, this is the framework we use, and I'll give you guys a copy of this. But I go through the exercise, I plug in as many symptoms as I can find, and then I just kind of like rate them. Like, and I'm just asking myself, how frequent, right? Like, for example, says sometimes you have to euthanize because of cost concerns, which is very heartbreaking, but you have to see that ending suffering is better than to prolong it. Well, that's probably super fucking emotional, right? Like if you got to kill a dog to like put them out of their misery, like you're probably going to have an emotional day, but I don't know if they deal with that every day. Maybe they do. I don't know, but I suspect it's probably not an everyday thing. So on that one, I made it like yellow, like it's probably emotional, but not necessarily like super frequent. This one I put as orange, like tell someone their beloved pet has cancer. It sucks. I cry every single time after. The lost looks and pain from the owner is hard. Then they want to know what's next. I never have the answer. I don't know how often they tell people their dog has cancer. I was also thinking like, I don't necessarily have an answer for that. I don't have a solution for that.
Yeah,
So
just don't tell them. That's the end. Just don't tell them.
yeah, right. It seems like a lot of these ones came up, just like dealing with the owner. Like, fuck, man, like crazy ass owners. And then
Yeah, it's like that seems like you could help that part of it. Oh, we'll find you better owners.
yeah, exactly. I'll find you better owners. I'll show you how to expectations. I'll tell you how to be upfront about your pricing on your website, so nobody comes in sticker shock over $1,000. They already knew it was $1,000 before they got here, kind of thing. So this is the framework we do, and I just take one symptom that is most likely to be the one, and then the result and the outcome also comes from them. The result and the outcome are the things they say they want. So in this case, this person said, I love coming home, seeing the love in my own animal's eyes, and knowing I helped at least one other family continue to feel that each day. That's incredible, right? So they really just at the core just want to fucking help animals. So in my case, like this offer would be, hey, if you're a veterinarian and you're experiencing people battling you over money, telling you they can't afford you, price gouging, and then complaining it's $1,000 for the fee, and the hardest part is dealing with the owner. We can help you get higher value people so you can just focus on making sure animals go home healthy to their family each day using our 1, 2, 3 ABC system, whatever the hell it is. If you're interested in finding out more how it works, click here and we got a 5-minute video for you. So we use this framework, and then it helps me to just come up with like a summary of what we're actually saying, and then that's what we put out there in the world. And then it allows me to know, like, even before I make the Loom video, because if they don't want to fix cold outreach, what happens if I make a Loom video all about how you never have to do cold outreach again?
Right.
So that's why I like to test the symptoms one at a time. So the reason I show you this too, guys, if you put something out there and you get crickets, the first place to look is the symptom. Like, just literally take the exact same product or service you got, the exact same fucking messaging, everything else, just change the symptom, and you'd be amazed that just changing the symptom, sometimes you can take a thing that gets crickets and get like 75 people say, I want it. Because there's a tendency to like personalize it and think, oh, they don't want me, they don't want my service, maybe but again, they're buying their way out of their problem more than they're buying their way into the solution. So make sure you're talking to the right problem. Cool thing about the internet is, I learned this actually, by the way, I'll show you guys how I first learned this. Jay Abraham like really fucking blew my mind, because he told me that he gets paid anywhere between $100,000 and $250,000 to write a sales letter for a company. And he doesn't write the sales letters. I said, what do you mean you don't write the sales letters? He says, well, I go to this fancy website right here called Amazon.com. Some of you guys may have heard of this place. And says, for every niche you're trying to get into, there's a book. So I'm going to pick Dustin. I'm just going to see what shows up. Coaching business book. The Prosperous Coach. The Business Book of Coaching, your ultimate guide to a 7-figure coaching business. Launch a profitable coaching business. So point being, there's like books for all of these things. Now, when you go to Amazon, Jay said the most valuable thing you'll find are 5- and 1-star reviews, because that's when people write the most passionately in their own words. And he said the other thing too is, like, on Amazon, people will upvote certain answers that they really, really liked. So you can see like 10 people found this helpful. 1 person found this helpful. 2 people found this helpful. 6 people. So I'm going to, like, just pick at the ones 10 people found helpful. He says he literally makes a spreadsheet of like what they're moving away from and what they're moving towards. And all the things that are 1-star reviews, he puts as the problems that will be solved by their product. And all the 5-star things and the outcomes they want are all the things that their product, and that's how he writes $250,000 sales letters. And I was like, damn, son, that's next level. One of the reasons I found this book fascinating is blah, 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 and been a neurologist. I was lost the first 2 months because I was told that transformative coaching did not have a specific method, no specific way to do it. And I was in real shock. In neurology, if you do not have a routine or method, you're going to kill or badly harm a patient. But here I found a method to do what became a total failure, and also what to withhold and how to say the right thing at the right moment and at the right time. I love authors being honest about making mistakes, not only at the beginning of their careers, but also currently. Their honesty, their wisdom, blah, blah, blah. That's just, this book has changed my life, happening 180 degrees. I have in my room and on my office several printed quotes from the book. Your clients are paying for their dreams, and their dreams are priceless. All of this shit is stuff you can use in your copy, right? I was lost because I didn't have a specific method. Right? I'm a life coach. I'm generic. That's a really common thing. No specific way to do it. Right? So we can pick the symptoms and the things right out of the top reviews. Here's 11 people how this book has blown me away. reinvigorated me, energized me, and excited me. So it sounds like at the very least, like they need a little kick in the ass to get excited again. Just trying to look for this stuff that's the best to grab.
Yeah, you mentioned David Goggins earlier. I'm in the middle of his Can't Hurt Me book, or almost at the end.
Yeah.
If anyone needs a little kick in the ass, that's a really good book,
Yeah.
especially if you're prior military.
Don't wait for 100% readiness. It will never come. When you are 80% ready, go for it. Run straight at it. Get exposed. Risk messing up. Failure is not a problem that you will face. Failing is how you get there. It's time for me to start failing. Right? So that's like this person's biggest takeaway. So like if I'm selling a coaching business thing, like I'm going to help your people to get comfortable being uncomfortable, putting themselves in the ring, not waiting for 100%. In fact, you guys are probably I'm going to steal this quote and put that, because this is true of agency owners too. I'm going to put that in there.
Nice.
All right. Put that in a little text doc. You guys will see me post that in the group as inspiration today. But point being is what I want to show you guys is this: the symptoms are out there for you to read. You need not guess at this. And all I've done with the J. Abraham method is I kind of realized that I thought Quora and Reddit are even better. So if you type in the word Quora and you go, what is the hardest part about blank? You type in, like, one of the ones I found is being a lawyer. I'm going to actually see if I can find this one, guys, because there's a guy named Cliff on mine. See if I'm going to search for it because I want to show you guys one specifically. So this guy right here. So the hardest part about being a lawyer, and two things jumped out at me symptom wise. He is a lawyer, and like 68 people agreed with his answer. Right? So that means like he's not the only one with this symptom. Like a lot of people are sharing that symptom. So he said, unfortunately, the hardest part of being a lawyer by far are the clients, not the good clients who have reasonable expectations and who would listen to your advice and take it as the learned analysis of a professional. No, I mean the clients who are in this on principle or think they know the law better than you or just want to make them hurt. I won't read you the rest of the quote, but I have a couple of speeches I've done for lawyers and that are recorded, and I'm not sure where they are on the internet, but if you listen to them, which I don't suggest you do, but you will hear me say, how many of you guys feel like, unfortunately, the hardest part about being a lawyer by far are the clients? And I don't mean the good clients who have reasonable expectations, who listen to your advice, take it as the learned analysis of a professional, but I mean the clients who are in this on principle or think they know the law better than you or just want to make them hurt. And I see lawyers nod and go, yeah. And the reason I know that's correct, because I didn't guess. Like Cliff already told me that 68 lawyers agreed with him. So there's always a version of that in your market. So that's why I say like a little bit of active listening will go a long way in nailing this kind of process. But that's the framework we use for coming up with those. And then what ends up happening is it's not hard to find the symptoms. Just fucking read them. Copy and paste. Try this one. Try that one.
What did the timer acronym stand for again? I'm sorry.
I'll write this one out for you guys.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
I'm
all good.
taking notes now, but it is
Probably not the only one. Timer is the acronym. What it means is all the reasons people will say yes to you and all the reasons they'll say no to you. It's like every objection you get will fall into one of these categories. So it stands for time, identity, money, energy, and reputation. So when I'm creating these, what I'll usually do is I'll just think about like, how does my thing save them time versus alternatives and doing it themselves? I'll think about like, how does this play into their identity? Identity is the hardest one to wrap your head around, but most often, like the identity they're going for is 9 times out of 10, they just want to be a doer of their thing and not a salesperson and marketer of their thing. I'm a yoga teacher, not a fucking marketing student. I'm a chiropractor, not a fucking salesperson. I'm a dentist. I don't want to fucking have to sell my dental practice and make video. So almost always, like, you'll notice, like with the veterinarian one here, they just want to see the animals light up. I just want to help animals. That's my identity. So anything you do that helps them move towards, like, just be your thing. Money is like a twofold. It's like you can make people money and you can save people money. And this is usually the most obvious one. Is I hear people all the time say, oh, that's easy for you because you're in a make money industry, but I don't provide people a return like you do. And I'm like, wrong, because there's 4 other kinds of returns. You can save people time, enhance their identity, give them energy, make their life easier. You can give them reputation. And actually, in some ways, what we do is harder, because usually the people who want more money are the ones who don't have it. Right? So they get the advantage of dealing with people who aren't broke. Energy is like, I think about it like, how does our offer or solution make their life easier? And reputation is like, how will we enhance their reputation? So the most common example I like to use is, especially like when you deal with busier and successful people, reputation becomes increasingly more important. They have like a mission that they want to put out into the world. Like, I don't know if you guys ever heard, Steve Jobs went to the CEO of Pepsi and was trying to get, like, recruit him to be part of his thing. And he said something to the effect of like, you can either come join me and change the world or spend the rest of your life selling sugar water. And that is a
Your mission
reputation.
crap, join mine.
What's that?
Your mission is crap, join mine. That's interesting.
But it's saying like, hey, like, do you want to have like a reputation and a legacy you leave behind? In essence, right? So I don't always put these in every offer I make, but I like to just think about, like, if I create this, how did I save them time? I'll show you one we're actually working on a revenue share deal. So we're helping the people get 3 different virtual assistants, and they get a year of coaching with it. And they get access to our hedge fund buyers. So it's like, it's for real estate. So they get people who find and negotiate the deals for them. They get help and support from like the guru of the thing. And they also get buyers done for them, so that like any deal they get under contract, they already have it sold before. And so I just went through the timer thing, and I thought, well, how do we save them time? And the first thing I thought is, well, 3 virtual assistants working 40 hours a week is 120 hours per week times 52 weeks in a year. That's like 6,000 hours of people prospecting for you the entire year that you don't have to do yourself. So I thought, I put in 6,000 hours. Then I thought, what is the identity they're after? And for most of them, it's taking their real estate thing from like a hobby to like being a real business that runs like clockwork without them. The money is like, I worked it out where it's like, for most of these people, their average deal is $20,000 or so. So I'm like, if you just do like a deal a month from this, you'll come out ahead. The energy side of it was, in this case, like, the guy's name is Matt. He'll have your whole team set up all the software and tools for you, and he'll train your team. So it's like already done for you. That's a magic phrase, by the way, already done for you. When you think about energy, wonder if I can find, I'll show you guys an example over there. The more you deal with rich and successful people, or like well off, the more you sell, like, it's less energy to claim my offer than what you're already doing. So I saw this in my news feed the other day. I had to screenshot it. If I can find it on my phone.
Yeah, where I ran into 2 situations where the energy and the time created too much of a problem. It was like, basically, I never recommend working with a trash bin cleaning company, but we were working with the trash bin cleaning company, and he'd spent like 3 months with us, $1,200 a month. And part of the agreement was we were going to rebuild his website in WordPress, because of SEO and all that. And we did that. And at the end of it, he didn't stay on as a client because he didn't want to transfer his 11 recurring clients to work to the new website.
Yeah.
To like completely just shut down the deal. And I do have like a big long 18-page contract, and I just have never enforced it. I don't try to hold people hostage.
Yeah. Same.
So like we're working, like I'm completely reworking our system. So it's like everything really is done for you. Like if you're going to come on, it's, you know, in one of the niches we work, it's the website's done, the ads are done. It's all just copy paste now.
Yeah.
And it's just what works. So the whole done for you thing, I think, is the
Yeah.
better way to productize your.
1000%, but not a lot of times do we make a big deal out of the things that are done for you. So like in Matt's case, like just to give you an example of this, he wants people to, when they get his virtual assistants, to succeed. So for an hour a week, he takes your team and they have a meeting and he trains them like week after week after week after week. Besides, like they also pre-screen them, like they pre-screen for the top 1% of people. But that's a big fucking deal. I was like, man, here's a guy who's done over like 2,000 real estate deals, and I get him in my business an hour a week, getting my team up to speed. And so this was the ad I wanted to show you guys. Can you guys see my screen here? Is that
Months business coaching content. Oh, that was
So
your
this had,
ad to
like,
him.
this had 4,000 likes and like almost 500 comments. And I can guarantee you motherfuckers be buying this. Guarantee you. To the point where he actually is probably not that good because they're selling it to two people. But I want you guys to think about the positioning is from an energy perspective, it's like you could try and figure out this content thing on your own, or you can come into our world and it's already done for you and everything is set up. Just walk in and we already got it. I've seen this, you know, I've had this talk with a few of our mastermind members where one comes to mind where he was selling a cleaning website when he first came to me, and he was really good at designing cleaning company websites. And one of the things they figured out is what a lot of cleaning companies don't like, their symptom is they get calls from tire kickers where people call and say, can you tell me how much it is to get my bathroom cleaned? And then they say, okay, thanks. And they hang up and they never hear from that person again. And so what they wanted to do is eliminate those phone calls. And he found out that, you know, there's only like 2-3 variables to figure out, like how big is the space? You know, basically they just need to figure out how long it'll take them. And so he put a quote app on their website in addition to making them a beautiful website. And it eliminates on their end most of the tire kickers because people just get a quote on the website, and therefore the only people who call are the ones who are like more seriously interested in actually purchasing it. And it's a better website, so it converts better anyway. And so his first thought, like most people, and this is kind of like a deeper topic, was how can I go get another website client? That's where like fucking all of our, like my mind went there when I was in his shoes. And I said to him, you already have an asset that is useful to someone else, meaning you've made a fucking website that works and converts. If you literally just took this website to another geography, there's somebody else 1 state away or 2 states away who would benefit from the exact same fucking website. And you would have to make minor changes. And so he's like, yeah, but like they're paying me to design a website. And I said, no, because if you really think about Timer, there's magic in this phrase. It's already done for you. I already got the templates, the tools, the design layout. Like I can have this thing up and running for you by the end of the day. And we can have, you'll never have to hear from another tire kicker again as long as you live.
That's an offer. I'm actually going to go to lunch with this guy right now, but it was an offer that we're putting together for my business partner who owns brokerage, real estate brokerage. He's got like 450 agents. And he's like, well, I want to find a way to entice more agents. And the big problem for these agents is that they don't know how to market. They're like halfway in between a business owner and a employee. And so we're putting together that exact thing. It's like a year's worth of social media, a copy paste website template, a monthly blog, and all these things are already pre-written. I think we use ChatGPT to write them in like 10 minutes. And
I like that.
I hired a VA to build all the 52 posts in 2 days. And so I built the website myself just in like 3 hours overnight. And so now it's like, we can offer that at a flat rate. I own all the IP, and we can take that to his brokerage. We can take that to another brokerage and just sell the solution.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wouldn't even say sell the solution, because this is a different level of thinking. is I believe the longer you do this, the more you'll want to be like an investor or a partner, and the less you'll want to be like a service provider. Service provider mentality is, which I had for like 10 years. So that's not like a judgment to anyone if you're stuck in service provider, but service provider is like, I am a provider of my service. How do I get people to buy my service? Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what happens is then the only way to get paid as a service provider is if a client hires you. And so the money is always tied to, you have to wait till somebody else agrees to release money to you. If you think about it as like an investor or a partner, one of the ways I explain to people the power of assets is, if I could give you a choice, I'll give you right now a $2,500 per month Facebook ad client. That's the service provider win. Or I will give you a system that clients are currently paying $2,500 per month for. Would you rather have the one paying client today or own the system that multiple clients are paying for? If you really think about it, the answer is always the system. And most of us are creating systems all fucking day long without even realizing it. I see this all the time where like they get a plumber and they figure out how to run Google AdWords for them. And after like 6 months, they get the copy and the landing page and the ads dialed in. And all of a sudden the plumber's getting phone calls. And then they go, I need another client. I need another AdWords client. And I'm like, well, hold on there, Skippy, because you're sitting on assets. You're sitting on working ads, landing pages. If you think like an investor, you say, how can I get more leverage out of the asset I already have? And you resell assets. And this is the deeper idea behind Loom videos, because I realized I had a fuck of a hard time trying to find salespeople to replace me. And even when I found good ones, they would either leave eventually and go off and do their own thing, or they would have bad weeks because like my girlfriend broke up with me. Sorry, dude. Like I haven't closed anything since she broke up with me and I don't know what to fucking do, but I'm in a head funk, man, but I promise I'll get out of it. And for like 3 weeks, your sales just fucking stop. And I was like, man, if I could like clone me through video, not only would I not have to do these sales things, but it would be way more consistent. And I was like, and I would have an asset. And so it's changing the belief from I'm getting paid to render service to I'm getting paid to providing assets and leasing them. And then the other thing is, when you realize that, you realize you can also acquire other people's assets for like fucking nothing. I know this was the topic of our call earlier that Dustin was on, and I don't know how it'll work out. So I may fumble and bumble this, but I have a friend that I met many, many years ago in a mastermind who's just like a really cool dude. And he had a post that he was looking to buy a business. And it sounded like a lot of the businesses I've helped, like local businesses and things like that. And so I reached out to him and I got a little clarification about what he was buying and what he was doing. And he told me, I buy these $1 to $3 million local businesses that basically have good systems and bad marketing. And I take over and I fix them up. And in a year or 2 years, I take it from like a $1 million business to like a $4 million business and I resell it. And I collect in the middle. And he said, and it's really, really good if the owner will do some of the financing. And he said and I realized I'm already part of a couple like buy business groups. So I said to him something along the lines, well, like if I could find you a business that fits that description, would you be open to paying me like a 5-10% finder's fee? To which he said, yeah, no problem, man. Fucking any day. Like 100, you buy me a good business, I'll give you $100,000. Like no problem. And then he said, actually, but before we go, like I'm even though I can do HVAC marketing better than most HVAC people, it's not really my strength. I'm more of a systems guy. Maybe you could help me grow the business and we could sell it and we could split on the back end too. And we can share some of the revenues. Like I'd rather, as I say it, I'd rather own 50% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape. Let's build them up together. And it's understanding that like with the right offer, you can acquire assets like nothing. Like we did this in our motorcycle stuff where I reached out to a guy who was crushing it with his motorcycle stuff and said, dude, how's that motorcycle stuff going? How you been? And he said, actually, we're not really even using it anymore. We've moved on to even something bigger. And so I said, well, what are you doing with it? And he said, nothing. Like an asset, doing nothing. And I said something like, well, do you think I could pay you and we could take it out of the trash bin? And like, if I paid you, would you be open to letting me use it? And he said, yeah. And I said, how much would you want? And he paused for a second. He said, I think $450 per client would be fair. What do you think? I said, sure, no problem. So every time I sign up a new client, I got to write you a $450 check. Does that sound right? Yeah.
I'm
Cool.
paying you thousands. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a 25. And not only that, he gave me my first 2 clients. He said, actually, these 2 guys have been asking and I've been pushing them away. Here you go. Right. So if you understand that,
this all
like,
came.
there's no shortage of assets for sale. But if you think of yourself as a service provider, then what happens is you're looking for clients to pay you. It's like, it's kind of broken middle class where like you need a boss to give you your paycheck. As where if you own assets, you go, well, how can I get more juice out of the assets I got? Or how can I go get the assets I need? And then what ends
I
up
fired
happening,
it, yeah. Oh, sorry.
you acquire assets that pay you, and then you let your assets do your heavy lifting.
I fired everyone in my agency over the last 2 months except for one guy. And yesterday I told him, I was like, I just want you to know that you either, and he's my higher performing guy. He also costs, $4,000 a month. I was
Yeah.
like, either you get on my level or you're not going to be here, because I'm rebuilding this agency so that I don't need employees.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's after I was actually listening to your book. That's what gave me that idea, and realizing we've been doing that. We have we're hosting 200 websites. They're all different industries and they're all really good. A lot of them produce on their own. So it's like, well, I can go into any industry now, any niche that we already service. And like you're saying, so that's kind of the goal. That's why this Loom video course, that's exactly why I bought in. Cause I was like, I really think that just being able to, once we have a product, I'm just going to throw that ad out there, throw the Loom video, and it's a yes or a no.
Yeah. The other thing
And
too, I
my-
was just going to add to that which is on the asset front is like, once you realize that you're being paid for your assets, you can make pretty crazy offers. Like one of the things I suggested to the cleaning website guy is like, you already made the fucking website. Like the work's already done. Right. So why don't you go to somebody who has a fucking shitty ass website or doesn't have your quote function, say, I'll just give it to you. Try it out for like 30, 60 days. I'll update the website. If you tell me it's not better in 60 days, then I'll change it back. But if you do like it, then you can lease it to me for $199 a month. And as long as you use that website, that's what I'll charge you. And right.
That's
Like,
nice.
and then you can
That's
like,
also extra offer. Try it for 90 days.
right? You can be super aggressive and make it super irresistible. But if you think you're a service provider, you're waiting for the next person to hire you to make a website. And, and I've been there. It's
Yeah,
like,
I'm gonna use that offer for sure. I'm totally gonna use that.
yeah,
That makes sense. My
and then
goal,
you-
I just did the math a while back, and it was like I need 100 $800 a month clients to have $1 million agency.
yeah,
So my business partner was like, well, we could just go top 50 metro. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, well, the top 50 cities in the United States, there's going to be at least 2 people that can use your shit. So I was like, huh.
yeah, exactly.
So
And
we're building
instead of
this.
saying I need 100 clients, I need to lease 100 assets. And you can,
Right.
and digital
Hmm.
assets, by the way, can be reused again and again and again. There's no rule that says like can't
Right.
lease one asset 100 fucking times.
Thanks, man. I got to hop off and head to lunch.
Dude,
with
you're a
these guys,
trooper,
but-
by the way.
What's that?
Just saying to Dustin, he was on our mastermind call earlier, so he's been with me like for like 3 hours, or 4
Oh,
hours.
jeez. All right. Well, thanks again, Fergie. All right, guys. Take care.
Have you guys gotten some good ideas out of this? I hope about how you can use your own stuff. I know we probably got off topic and got on a whole bunch of different detours. Annette, you in particular are sitting on a mountain of assets with all the fucking websites you made. That was like simultaneously geared towards you because I know you're dealing with that. The other thing is, like I said, there's no rule that says they have to be your assets that you're leasing. Right? Why do I have to sell my motorcycle ad system? I don't. Neither do you guys, right? So the flip side of this, once you recognize this, that there's assets everywhere, underpriced, undervalued, the opposite of that is you become almost overwhelmed with the amount of opportunity that's been in front of you the whole fucking time that you never saw. At least that's was my experience. Cause like, holy shit, there's a gazillion ways I could make money that I don't have to sit around begging clients to give me $1,000 a month. In the case of the cleaning company, right? Like if he's already got the website, then there's probably somebody else who's already doing stuff for cleaning companies. He could even lease it to like a white label provider. And like there's all kinds of ways you can lease intellectual property. But we want our assets to do the heavy lifting. That's the whole point of a Loom video is I want my asset. I want my video to sell hard, my stuff to the right people. I don't want to have to like chase people. And then people can self-select based on the video. You guys got any questions about just anything random? Otherwise, I think we're going to drop off here. Kevin, Hetty, Annette, you guys are still troopers all the way here to the end.
Yeah.
Emily's still.
I guess my question is, when should we start trying to compile everything, start putting it into action? Are we starting that now? Should we be like actively pushing this out, or are we, still kind of building and go through?
What I would say is step number one to me is float out the offer summary, like the hand raiser. That's like, you can do that immediately. And then whatever people say, yeah, I'm interested in that, like then actually build the video out of it. And you can, I build videos only when they're needed.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily build videos just to build them, like, cause I've done the opposite where I've spent a long time building something that nobody wants. And the other thing is the biggest thing, like I mentioned, that will make this work or not work is the symptom. And so that's why I like to test the hand raiser without the video, because I want to make sure I'm hitting on the right symptom. Because like symptoms is an educated guessing game. This is why like you'll never bat 1,000. Sometimes you float some shit out there and nobody cares, and it's almost always because you just missed the symptom. Like Mark tried some stuff, and the symptom we tried with HVAC is that basically they're getting ghosted after they send a proposal. But there's lots of symptoms that happen as a result of not following up with people, like lead cost is high, carrying employees is high. Like if I think like just for example, like one person came to me, they were doing Google reviews, and the symptoms of having bad reviews are many. Like one of those things is that the phone doesn't ring in the first place and nobody finds you. One of those is people call unconvinced. Another one of those is they go to a competitor. Another one of those is it becomes hard to sell your like highest, most valuable stuff. And we could position the reviews around any of those symptoms. And there's probably a whole lot more that I didn't just think of right now. So like one version of the offer may be, hey, if you're getting tire kickers who call you up and ask you how much it is, we can make that go away with our 123 Google reviews whiz bang system. And we could take the same offer as like, hey, are you not being found on the Google and they're calling your competitors instead? Well, we can get you way higher with our 123 Google whiz bang system or Google reviews. Even though there's essentially the same service, they're different offers because they offer to alleviate different current ailments that are like different symptoms they have in their reality. So as far as putting it into practice, like the first thing I think about is just like, who are you trying to get? What are their symptoms? Float a hand raiser in front of them and test your assumption. And when you hit it, you will know it. And when you know it, build a video and sell them the thing on the other side.
Where's the best place to get those hand raisers out?
I'll show you my favorite way of doing it. I'm not saying this is the only way. But I call this the shoe store targeting. Is the understanding that they're not just buying from us. It'd be nice to think like they're only buying your website and that's it. Their life is complete. They're finished. They're only buying our SEO. They got Ali's PR package. Life is complete. They never need, but the real people who do this buy multiple things. And so what I do is I just compile a list of, I literally just think about who are the gurus and influencers in a space. And I target those people. So I'll give you but the reason why I do this is I basically am reverse engineering everything else they buy. I don't know if you guys saw my buy quote from last time, but like focus on the buyers. So I figure out what they read, what communities they're part of, what associations or organizations, software and tools. What are the big events they go to? What are the competing products and services? And I just compile all of that into a spreadsheet. I'll put this in, I'll put this into a document for you guys. But what we do is we typically take all like this, these are all the shoe stores in my industry, all the other things they're buying from. It's like in personal injury. If actually, I know you were working with some lawyers, you can have this exact spreadsheet if it would be useful to you. But basically, I figure out everything else they're buying. So like there's a company called Law Pods. They sell podcasts for lawyers. There's a company called NAML. They do like motorcycle cases. There's a company called Great Legal Marketing. They put on big events. There's a company called Blue Shark Digital. They do huge SEO. There is Leading Response that helps them follow up with their leads. There's like just all kinds of stuff like this, right? So what I typically do is I get all their mailing address and all their social media, and then I just use it one of two ways. So here's one shoe store, Stephen Fairley, who sells events, courses, trainings. Most of the people who follow him in this 26,000 people are buyers. So there's only one of two ways I can use this information. Way number one is I run paid advertisements and I run them to his following. So this is actually something that is not yet done, but I'm going to be adding Twitter ads. And the reason I'm going to add Twitter ads, like I'm going to target like his followers, because I know like shit tons of lawyers who buy shit are all here. And there's also other shoe stores in here, like the Florida Bar is another shoe store. National Law Review is another shoe store. Like shoe stores tend to know each other. This is an actual shoe buyer here, Mitch Jackson. I've spoken on stage a couple of times with Mitch, so I know him personally. But he's a shoe store. Like he buys all the shit, and he's a lawyer talking about ChatGPT and growing a law practice and all that kind of stuff. But he buys all the services and goes to all the conferences. So I know like, so I'm not saying run, actually, I'll tell you how we're doing it mostly right now is I'm mostly running YouTube ads. So I take this whole column of like other shit they're buying, and I put that into my targeting in YouTube, and I show my ads, which are just hand raisers. And I show it to people who do all the buying. Like I say, I want to be 100% known by all the buyers.
Right.
Even though like
And
only
on
5 to 10% of the market.
Is it actually your face, or are you doing just kind of like worded videos, like with a big statement and a question mark?
I literally just do, so I fill out this. So in my case, hey, if you're a personal injury lawyer and you're paying $200 a click on AdWords and $1,000 per signed case on TV, we can help bring you cases for under $100 a piece by retargeting your traffic super cheap using our digital omnipresence retargeting. So that's my hand raiser. Then I go, hey, it's Frankie here. If you're a personal injury lawyer out there and you're currently spending over $1,000 per signed TV case and over $200 per click on Google AdWords, that obviously wouldn't be the first take. I'd have to redo that one. But then I say, hey, we can help you get signed cases for under $100 using our digital omnipresence, which is a way of just massively following up with the leads you already paid for using super cheap retargeting ads. It's basically like the modern day Morgan & Morgan. I put together a little 5-minute video. If you're interested in seeing how that works, just click the link below and we'll take you over to that video and we'll show you the whole system and how much it costs and all those kind of details you'd be interested in. That's it. My ads are like super basic, dude. Like they're super basic, but I put them in front of buyers. They have irresistible offers. And then all the things we talked about in the Loom video or what follow. I do them. I do them in the agency space mostly. I do a lot of stuff. Facebook hand raisers. You'll notice a lot of my posts. They're hand raisers. Let me see if I can actually find one with you in it. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, definitely on Facebook I've seen that, but I don't have the community that you have on Facebook. So I was just kind of wondering where else I could do this at, because I haven't done the kind of grit work
Liz-
of like building community.
This is the thing, right? Like everybody's already built up the communities for you. Like I look at it like this. If you understand that there's already money flow in your market, you're not here to create money flow. You're here to identify where it is, and then you put your sale up into that wind of flow and just catch it. Then all you do is just
Yeah.
like, I only do this one of two ways. I either use this as targeting for paid ads, or these are the people I collaborate with. So like, let's say, for example, I don't know Robert Ingalls of Law Pods, never met him, don't know who he is. But I know, let's just take a look at their website, by the way. And by the way, even if you're going to do outreach, like I'd rather do less outreach to more proven buyers. So like he has here, trusted by Dolman Law Group, McGuire Woods, like they're advertising who their fucking shoe buyers are.
Mm-hmm.
So the other way I usually use it is I'll reach out to these people and say like, hey, I had an idea for how we could do something cool for your audience. And I offer to do like a free training, and the free training is just, it's just contrasting old plan versus new plan. Hey, this is how everybody else is trying to get results. This is my new, better way of doing it. And I give all the ideas away for free. And then at the end of it, I say, some of you guys just may want someone to do this for you. If you're interested, we offer that as a service. So in my case, it'd be like, I go, hey, you guys are paying all this money for traffic. Let me show you how you can retarget the fuck out of your shit using all the stuff you already have for super cheap. We're doing this on YouTube. We're doing this on GDN. We're doing this on Facebook and Instagram. We're adding TikTok right now. If you're interested in just having us set that up for you. But in your case, like I just identify where they're buying from already, and then I reach out. Like I would rather do one outreach message to somebody on this list than send 10,000 just untargeted.
Yeah.
And then it's easier too, because you can actually like spend a little bit of time thinking about what you're going to say. Dennis Yu calls these lighthouses. I like to call them shoe stores. That's my analogy, but we're talking about the same thing, which is just thinking about like, what are they already buying, right? Like if I want to contact buyers have, like, for example, okay, like imagine, for example, you had to help me sell my book. Okay. So we got this baby right here, authored by me, Frankie Finn's Beyond the Agency Box. Do you think if somebody buys a business and marketing book, like this is the only book they're ever going to buy in their entire life?
Right.
Like
No.
you can look, there's books, right? Like let me see if we can find a couple more. Got a whole bunch below too, right? So there's a mess of books. So one of the best things you could do is find out what other books they're buying and target the people who buy those other books. Which is why, like for me, like one of my first collaborations in the industry was Josh Nelson, because that's just a fucking no-brainer. He helps the same group. He's got a book. He's spent a lot of work identifying all the buyers.
Was he the guy who did like the law stuff, like law Facebook marketing or something?
He does HVAC.
Oh,
But regardless, whatever industry you go in, it's understanding like you're not the first thing they're going to buy, and you ain't going to be the last either. So my question is like, you know, as Jay Abraham says, what do they buy before, after, and instead of? And this shoe store is to me the answer. right? Like bigger law firms buy software. They go to conferences. They hire SEO companies, Facebook ads, TV, billboards. So like they leave a trail of their purchases behind them. The other thing too is when you deal with shoe stores, there's way less bullshit than there are with like Facebook ads and like Facebook ads, they could ban your account and all that. Like I like paid ads, but even if my paid ads got turned off, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it anymore because I could identify where the money flow is and just tap into it. Right? Like if I reach out to Josh Nelson and say, let's do a training for your people about blank, then chances are I only got to deal with one guy, right? Like, and if he's down with it, that's it. Like there's only one person to convince, and he's not, going to change his mind because I use the word you too much or something in an ad. But like in the case, like I showed you, Stephen Fairley, like he spent 10 years organizing all the buyers in the legal space. I shouldn't say all of them, but a large number of the buyers have bought from him over 10, 15, 20 years. So in your case, it's like where the buyer flow, put a hand raiser in front of them. That's really the steps.
Gotcha.
So to show you this just one more time so you can wrap your head around it. The reason why I say who are the influencers and gurus, because usually they sell shit. Courses, trainings, masterminds, events. What do they read? Last I checked, books aren't free. Right? The buyers almost always self-identify with buying books. Discussion groups and communities, they're not always 100% buyers, but somebody's more serious than the average prospect if they're joining a community to learn how to do something. Associations and organizations, like I say, they're not always 100% buyers, but 100% of the buyers go into associations, right? Like all the bigger law firms are part of the California Bar Association and the Florida Bar and the American Bar Association and shit like that. That doesn't mean everybody in the American Bar Association is a buyer, but all the buyers are in the American Bar Association, the National Trial Lawyers Association. When they get bigger, they have to start buying tools, right? Like if you have 20 lawyers, you need a CRM, you need a tool, you need case management, you need tools to answer the phone, you need website hosting, like all of that leaves a trail. And again, those are things they buy. The big events they go to, it's like, even if you're like going to just use this to do outreach, like the old school way, what are the big events they go to? Again, conferences and stuff aren't free. Events aren't usually free. Competing products and services. Even if you were going to just use this to do outreach, let me close a few tabs here. Let's go back home for me, Detroit. Like, I'd much rather you contact the people who are paying for ads. Like, I know these people have budgets and money to spend because they're spending money right now.
Exactly.
So if I'm going to do outreach, I would way rather pursue these 4 people like hardcore than just to like message every lawyer on this list. Because like what most people do is they go, let's grab the lawyers on page 14. Let me see if I can, looks like these are articles more than lawyers. Let me just see if I can find an actual lawyer website. Looks like maybe we went too many pages deep. So there's a tendency to think, oh, these are the ones who need marketing the most, the barefoot people, let's go after them. I shouldn't say they're totally barefoot because this guy's paying for a website. It looks like he spent a good chunk of change on it. It's counterintuitive though, because you think like if you're selling websites, you think I should sell a website to the one with the ugly website that hasn't been updated in 10 years. I love how lawyers are always in suits looking serious. But there's a tendency to go, okay, these are the ones that are last on the list. I'll go after them. But I like if I'm gonna, like I said, if I'm gonna do outreach, I'd way rather go after the ones like that we saw that are actually spending money. I guess it's not showing us the ads now. I don't know. I broke the system. But then what ends up happening is because like there's usually two sales you have to make. One is that they should market and advertise at all. And the second is that your solution is the right one. And it's actually the first sale that's the hard one to make. And so rather than trying to convince people who don't, I focus on offering it to people who already do. Like most of the people, by the way, who are in our mastermind have joined other masterminds as well. Like that's not a coincidence because they're buyers of that thing. These actually aren't bad websites, but usually if you go like 11 pages deep into the search, you'll find like some really fucking ugly ass lawyer website. And there's a tendency to think, oh, that guy, but he probably only built a website because, you know, people ask him like, can I find out about you on the internet? Allen Iverson has somehow came up for personal injury lawyer. Let's check out. You were talking about practice.
Talking about law practice?
Practice, man. We talking about practice.
Not a trial.
Right. But point being is like that's kind of the shortcut is like you identify who's buying what, where. You only need one of these to start with. And then you just put a hand raiser in front of them. One of the easiest ways that I like to do it one-to-many is just join a discussion group about it. This was actually one of my first moves. So I talked to Luke and he said, I'll sell you the motorcycle cases for $450. Well, before I say, okay, I want to know, will anyone buy motorcycle cases? So this is what Frankie Finn did. I joined a personal injury group on Facebook. Anyone here who can handle more motorcycle cases? Within an hour, I had me. All right, I'll give you $450. But that's my like hand raiser. And by the way, if I'm going to reach out to somebody and say, hey, I got a video that shows you how we do it. I already got 8 people to show it to. There's always that one asshole. I'm just looking. Lawyers, snarky. Nope. Everyone here has all the injury cases they can handle. Sorry. But if they wouldn't have responded to the hand raiser, I wouldn't have pursued that asset. So like you can test an offer like real fucking fast. Join a group. Anyone here who wants blank? That's it. And then when they say me, you go, okay, I better make a Loom video for that. And then I send them the Loom video. Or in Hetty's case, I send him the Loom video, but as a text format. I'm going to hit end recording here because it's just us troopers hanging out. I'm going to take a piss. And if you guys got more, we can hang